It's one of those days, being led by Barbara Bartlett, our treasurer.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation. Welcome to the first and only regular board meeting of December 2022. Can I get a motion that the minutes of November 28th, 2022, that meeting be approved?
I'll make that one.
Trustee Raymond,
Second.
trustee Cornwell's discussion.
There's definitely a change I'd like to make. I sent this a few days ago. It has to do with the ethics board discussion. On page 3. And a couple issues I have with this. So this is about the motion I made to have a special meeting for the ethics board. And there is a significant discussion around that. And I feel like the discussion needs to be reflected in the minutes. The principal point of that discussion, the conclusion was that to basically honor a tradition and do the staff a favor, we will keep to only one meeting in December and not have any special meetings. And I just feel like that's important to have in the minutes because that took 5, 10, 15 minutes and should be acknowledged as something that was discussed. The other piece the issue I have with this is I really don't think that on the agenda, we should be commenting on other people's motions. And I wasn't gonna bring this up, but it's in the minutes. I have the motion for ethics meeting, and then there's a mayor's note right under it, and I just don't think that's appropriate. And I'd like to ask that if there's any questions about someone else's motion or a suggestion to change it or just confusion, that it be brought to the author of the motion before the agenda goes out, so it can be clarified, any issues resolved. But I really don't think it's right to put on a comment on the actual agenda that that the author doesn't see until it goes public, can't respond, can't discuss, and it doesn't feel appropriate, it doesn't feel courteous, respectful to do it there in that way. So I'd ask that we don't put comments on other people's motions. Obviously, we can discuss during the meeting if there's questions, and we can edit during the meeting if there needs to be amendments, but not in unilaterally and without discussion to put it in the minutes or on the agenda. Same with if someone makes a motion, someone else shouldn't edit that motion and put an edited version on the agenda without discussing it with the author first, and that's happened in the past. So that's what I request. I think it should come out of the minutes here, the mayor's note, because it wasn't even stated at the minutes. We just didn't do it, and that's fine with me. And I wasn't going to bring it up at all, but I don't think it belongs in these minutes. So that's my request: take the mayor's note out of the minutes and to put in just the discussion that we discussed whether having a meeting, decided not to, based on to do the staff to recognize their dedication by giving them a pass with only one meeting in December.
I think that makes sense.
Can I get a motion to table the approval of the minutes?
With that amendment, or
Table. Do you want to sort it out?
Mhm.
Okay,
What?
I'll make the motion.
Okay. Can I get a second?
oh, you
motion
want to
to
just do it now?
we don't have an attorney currently, she'll be here soon, so.
Yeah, attorney. All right. I'll second. Table.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
Do you agree with what I'm saying, that we shouldn't make comments on the agenda about other people's motions?
Mayor's announcements. Just want to say thank you again to our DPW staff for their
So
endless
what I'm
work
gonna do
yesterday.
is make a motion
Excuse me,
later.
sir. Mayor's announcements.
I want to thank DPW staff for their endless work yesterday in getting the roads cleared. It might be a dress rehearsal for another storm coming up, but I think they did overall a great job from what I could see this morning. You have to drive around last night and seeing different roads, et cetera. And they hit a lot of areas by about 9-10 o'clock last night. And so thank you to DPW in its entirety for what they were able to get done last night and this morning, especially. That was a weird storm, to say the least, and how it affected the area. Okay, liaison reports. Let's start with Trustee Pendenza.
Mine will be brief. Just wanted to reiterate that the BSBPA, just to share their thanks. It was a really successful small business Saturday, as well as holiday parade for anybody that went. It was very, very busy. And they wanted me to share their thanks to the entire board for participating in that. So it's nice to see that. And just again, to encourage us to try to figure out ways to continue to work together as a board and to set a tone collectively. But thank you to each of you. There were hugs that happened between the mayor and Ben. So just a reminder that we can do that. So it was great.
Hold on a second. I should-
Did you hug someone? I didn't see it. You hugged Frank? Oh gosh.
You didn't hug me.
Would everybody that's hugged Frank in this room, please raise your hand? Thank you.
But anyway, that's something that we're just appreciative to see, and I think it was a good holiday season start for our small businesses, and hope that they have a great season and make lots of money. So that's my report.
Thank you, Trustee Cormos.
For the library, they kicked off their fundraising, brick by brick and book by book on December 8th. Very successful attendance. And then on Saturday, the day after, there was a very well attended performance by our own Dan Bergman. And that was very well attended with actually not a lot of people that I recognize, but I think a lot of people from the outside came to hear him play. Just an update on the ADA grant. I spoke to CDQC, and they're planning on kicking off with the first meeting in February. So in January, we'll look at finalizing a committee to work on that grant. But we can take December off. Because the plan will be to start data collection in the spring, April timeframe, when hopefully the snow will have melted. Thank you.
Trustee Baskin.
I missed the Arts Committee meeting, but they are working on the Saratoga Arts grants, getting them out the door, helping artists do that. The next meeting, January 4th. Do you have anything you want to add to the Arts?
Yeah, so yeah, thank you for reminding me. Saratoga Arts, we had a number of people come and sign their MOUs and got their documentation approved to finalize their applications to the Saratoga Arts. And for those who are new, the board approved a number of projects to receive a fiscal sponsor. And basically all that means is that the village is willing to act as a pass-through to, hopefully get some more opportunities for applicants and other art projects in the community. They are working, they're appreciative of the changes to not the charter, but the charge. And so they're looking forward to operating under the simplified kind of goals. And they are going to be looking at doing some brainstorming for the upcoming year, and they're just kind of plugging along and getting organized as a group and a team.
Thank you. And then the Park and Tree Board met a week or two ago, a couple weeks ago. And one thing is talking about some residents were complaining about how trees have been removed, but stumps were not removed. And so there's a bunch of stumps on Columbia Ave. And so Jeff is exploring the different options with removing those stumps and then working with the Park and Tree Board with a stump removal policy. And also just dialoguing with them to coordinate the tree removal and the new tree inventory mapping tool we have, so that they're doing something, he knows to let the group know to update the tool, and also he can look at that map to see where the high need trees are. So that conversation happened, and their next meeting is December 20th. Jen, I just want to, has the tree letter gone out, or is it about to go out?
I have to tell you that I have given the printer go ahead to go, but he hasn't gotten back to me to tell me it's when.
Okay.
So I can double check on that. I'm sorry that I didn't.
No, I meant to ask. you.
Thursday of last week, he got the go ahead to go. The post office has their, because I have to give them the money to pay for the postage. They have their deal. We're good to go. We're waiting for that to be completed.
All right,
So that should hit any minute now.
thank you. So any day now, you're gonna get a somewhat lengthy letter about trees and the tree code and, property owner responsibilities and things like that. So look for it to come maybe this week.
Absolutely. I would think so.
Thank you.
What's your name?
Okay, DPW, they completed their leaf and brush pickup on Monday, 12/5, so they are done for the season. They are moving on to winterizing hydrants, this week. And they're going to start commercial water meter reads. And obviously have prepped equipment for winter and snow removal. They do still have, they did the last of the hot asphalt patching on Friday, 12/9. That was constant. And they have started new street sign replacement. And there's 91 locations with approximately 182 signs that they're going to install. And that should be done in a week or two if everything goes well. And by going well, I mean no more snow, and more emergency. That should be done, even by maybe this week. After that, they will start installing the pedestrian crossing signs, as long as the ground doesn't freeze too hot. And then dump truck number 3 is in the shop right now. Questionable on its outlook on the prognosis. And we better cross our fingers because that's also, I believe, used for plowing too. And a new dump truck would be a year away. So Jeff would like everybody who has trash cans to just keep in mind that during the winter months. Be mindful of snow and putting them out during the snow event. It can be difficult and they can get destroyed by a plow. We also would ask people to park cars off street if possible. And any trailers, other equipment, basketball hoops, anything like that need to go off the street sides for the rest of the season. That's all I have.
Treasurer's report. Barbara.
The water meter cards were mailed out for December 1st, and they've been coming back steadily. Trisha's been entering the reading daily. Meter cards are due back by December 31st or before, but to avoid the $50 late fee, $50 fee. I got an update from EFPR today about going to AccuFund. They're currently working on setting up our chart of accounts in AccuFund, and they've contracted with Brisbane to start bringing in our historical data. Tina stated that we should have access to the system the week after next and could begin entering bills for the next abstract using AccuFund. We'll be touching base later this week with a better idea of the time frame. Trustee Cormos had asked for some information regarding cash receipts for water and sewer, or the amounts received for year to date. EFPR does provide these amounts each month on their executive summary, but I confirmed with them that the cash receipts for year to date for water are $464,272.60, and sewer are $151,277.77. And I'm not sure why that information was requested, but I think it's important to note that cash receipts do not equal revenue. in the case of water and sewer. Tina explained it well, so I'm going to quote her. She said, essentially, the village operates on a cash basis system for everything except water and sewer. Water and sewer function on an accrual basis. In an effort to make the monthly reports meaningful, we have been entering an estimated amount each month, which is then adjusted at year end. She also stated that one thing to consider is that the village is always made whole. So whatever the billings are for the year for the village will get that total amount either through daily collections or levy on tax bills. So if the board is interested in that, and what amount of revenue the water and sewer funds are generating, you can use the actual amount billed.
Thank you.
Okay,
Can you please email that to us?
yeah, sure.
Okay, no presentations tonight. Old business fire truck for Eagle Matt Lee. I know that Paul Morosi, Mike Bayshore are here to help discuss this matter. There's been some back and forth about the situation. So let me bring everybody up to date with where we are and then tell you why we're needing to move forward tonight in some way, shape, or form. We did apply for a USDA loan and also checked out other ideas for financing for the fire truck. The total with administrative costs is about $942,000. The USDA rate currently is 3.5%. We learned last week that the useful life is what the term of the loan would be. So it would be 20 years instead of 15, although there is no prepayment penalty to expedite payment at some point later on in the loan's life. It looks pretty good overall that we will be accepted or approved for this loan because of the proximity to our last loan and the information they already have for review. Not much has changed since the DPW version of this situation. Although it's a little simpler because there's only one piece of equipment. What we are in a position to need to do here is to lock in pricing, approve the contract with financing contingency, and then also, which is not on the agenda, but would follow naturally, allow the mayor to execute the documents related to a USDA approval should one occur this month to make sure we can lock in the 3.5% interest rate before it goes up on January 1st. So that's where we're at. I was asked for some kind of financial assessment of the situation of where the funds will come from, et cetera. Fire department, as you may remember from previous meetings, has been doing a very good job of preserving money from their town revenues from Ballston, and to the tune that we have rolled back basically 126,000, I think it was, give or take. So they have done well there to preserve, and they seem to be in a position to continue to do so. We assessed today as well their percent of usage of accounts throughout this year, which is more than half done now. And on some counts, they're in line, and other counts, they are well under. And so they are looking to probably be in the same position of saving more money at least next year. That's important because the fire truck will take about 3 years, 2 to 3 years to get delivered. Just the nature of the beast right now. And that was consistent with both possible providers of this truck that we questioned. And so that means that it takes us out to 2025, 2026. We will exhaust our existing debt for fire trucks in April of 2027. So in terms of overlap of payments going on, it should be about 2 years worth at worst, which means that at a $65,000 USDA yearly payment, there should be sufficient funds in rollovers from or to the fire department to easily afford that situation. There is that, and also I raised in the document some of the discussion that we've had in the past about what it means to the village in terms of potentially looking at paying for fire services, because currently, aside from some facility enhancements we've done, the roof or what have you, because they are village-owned facilities, the village residents do not pay for fire services. And I confirmed this in the document that was in the table handouts, among other things, showing how your bills look when you are in out of district or out of village, town of Ballston resident, for instance, in an in village version, and you can see that the fire service fee is shown separately when you're outside, and there's none shown at all when you're inside, which means that residents, except for anything attributed to facility repairs, and there's a debate whether or not you should even do that because they are assets of the village, residents are not technically paying much or if anything for fire services compared to other customers that are being served out there. So there's that as well. That's probably not a today issue, but just an aside that I wanted to make sure we included to clear the record on something that was incorrectly stated. I think in public comment a few weeks or a couple meetings ago or something along those lines. And so that's where we are. Anything anybody would like to add or ask or anything like that, because we do have our firefighters who are supposed to be elsewhere tonight here waiting for us.
Really, the only thing I'd like to add is I think they've been very responsible with their funds and public dollars, and this is a need that they have. The truck is breaking down, and I have concerns about safety for, you know, the people we're serving, but you know, not only that though, for our firefighters. So I'd like to see this move forward.
Just to quantify, it was also in that report, $23,000, I think, give or take this year in repairs for the most recent issues, Paul.
Yeah, tomorrow, the truck goes in for those major repairs to hopefully keep it functional until a new one shows up. I'm sure there'll be other things that go wrong, but hopefully not to that caliber.
So obviously there will be a cost savings with a new truck that's got a warranty, et cetera, on it at a later date. Anybody else? Okay. Well, we will be getting to those motions soon, apparently, but public comment will be in between. Trustee Cormos wants to bring up accessory dwelling units.
Yes, this is just for discussion potentially tonight, or to introduce this concept of accessory dwelling units. They're known as ADUs. You know, they're also called accessory apartments, secondary suites, granny flats. This handout here, you know, I think does a nice illustration of showing, you know, where you could put an additional living unit on your property. It might be detached in what is now a garage or carriage house. It might be in addition to your home, or it might be above your garage, your existing garage, or in your basement. So there's a lot of varieties of where you can accommodate this type of addition. Basically, who it benefits is the homeowner, but also can benefit a senior, you know, who can live next to their children, or a child who is starting out, who can't afford some of the rents around here, can move in and have sort of a separate living unit. This would be a living unit that would have sleeping, sanitation, and cooking. I think if we go forward with this, we need to define cooking, because that's often kind of a complicated thing. To say, well, you have a toaster oven. Well, every office has a toaster oven and a microwave. Is that a kitchen? So, you know, that's something we want to, you know, talk about. The reason I'm, you know, interested, I actually did plan for one of these units a long time ago, when I wanted to move my mother in with us, and we had a walkout basement, and so we, you know, did the plans for an accessory dwelling unit. Also, if you don't know, I've spent my career in developing and helping primarily not-for-profits develop senior housing. Everything from nursing homes all the way to independent living. So this is an area that's of interest to me. I think it would be a good thing for the village. It's a way to add affordable housing without building a huge apartment complex. I think it has very little impact on the character of the village. It's something, we've had a few approvals by the zoning board without much objection, which, indicates that neighbors don't seem to mind this. Also, the comprehensive plan discussed ADUs, and they didn't take a vote, but nobody had any objection to the concept as well. So my thought is that maybe we start with somewhat more restrictive code that would say you can have an ADU, and of course, if you meet, all the building code requirements, you could have one inside your house or outside in an existing building. In other words, if you've got a building on your property already and you want to convert that to an apartment. Also, more importantly, it would be owner occupied. The owner has to live in either the primary residence or in the ADU. So later on, when we go through the detailed zoning process, which is going to take a while, they can add, you can build one and stuff, but I think to start, this would allow us to provide affordable housing to a lot of people without doing much for the village. So, in the comment, feel free to comment. Actually, New York State was going to mandate that we provide ADUs in our code. That was voted down because of the strong feeling that every municipality should decide themselves. California does have a statewide law, and this is something that a number of organizations, American Planning Association, but also there's a lot about ADUs on the AARP site as well.
How would you handle current violators of this?
That I would put a clause in, which I've seen in a few other places, where somebody who already has one that isn't legal has up to 6 months or a year to come forward and register and meet the requirements of the ADU so that they can become legal, in the system.
I think that you owe an answer that I've been asking for today on the question of what happened in Manans to take 3 years for redo the zoning code, which I think would affect the urgency to do a piecemeal approach like we were suggesting here, instead of doing a full rezoning rewrite, et cetera, over the next year or so. That's pretty much the length of time it would take, and we're still trying to figure out why it took 3 years in Manans and how much they ended up spending despite the UPWP grant that was that we applied for, but we did discuss we might be in a position or in a need to withdraw the application if we're seeing that it wasn't really well meant for rezoning ultimately. So we'll see when you get us that information where we go with that, I think.
Yeah, as I told you, I did speak briefly with the mayor, who did not indicate that CDPC had slowed them down. They had other issues that slowed them down, including the fact that their engineering firm was merged and changed ownership, and they went through 3 different consultants heading the project. But I am, perfectly willing to talk to her some more and get some feedback. My own experience with CDTC is they keep you on track. They set the deadlines, and a lot of the delays often are due, and I think most consultants will tell you this, is due to the client not being able to do the meetings, etc. And zoning, yes, is a process. It's for us, we really, according to our former attorney, need to start from scratch, practically. This proposal is, limited to, and I don't think it's a separate, piece of code, just as we've handled other separate pieces of code up to now. And I don't think should have to wait until, we do the whole rewrite. And I don't, if we see something that needs to be put in or fixed, we should go ahead. Another example would be cannabis. Should we wait until the whole zoning procedure to address that issue? Probably not.
According to Wade, yes, we should, but,
So anyways,
you'll have to resend me that email about Manans because I don't have it. I just did a search for Manans on today's emails. But I would like to know the cost, the ultimate cost for the rezoning, since I'm assuming for 3 years, the amount that they originally projected would not have covered necessarily what ends up getting spent in that process. So I would like to know what their anticipated spending versus actual spending was.
I will, as I
Thank you.
said earlier, I will check out any other questions anyone has about the process and CDTC's role. It's a significant amount of money added to the money we have. Otherwise, we end up paying for all of it ourselves, and it's not going to be any less if we, go along and we can have the opportunity in this case to receive assistance.
I can't foresee any scenario where it doesn't make sense to apply for this grant. I haven't done a zoning grant before, but I've written and implemented a lot of different grants, and typically it's where the grant might slow you down is if you're waiting for them to award you the money. But once that happens, and it sounds like the award will be in March, so that timing winds up very nicely with a comprehensive plan. Grant funders never are the ones who slow the project down once the money's been awarded. It's the project itself and the issues there. And so I don't see any reason why we give back money if we're getting money to rezone it.
Well, as I said the last time, the red flag is that the only people that have used it for rezoning or new zoning law is Manans. That's the only active project for that type of purpose. So it's worthy of the question, what happened, what went wrong necessarily, and what were the costs in the end to think. So we'll go there and see where it goes. I should note here as we approach public comment, which is not 5-minute limit per speaker and only one session, that board comments, questions, concerns will follow immediately. That is not changed on the agenda from Friday. Just an oversight on our part as we put this out, but that is coming up here, which we'll start with public comment. Anybody like to speak, please raise your hand. State your name and address in the process, as always. Pretty quiet in the room. Anybody on Zoom? Well, let me do this. Anybody on Zoom, please put your hand up. If you do want to talk. Mike, I saw your hand go up, though nonetheless, go ahead.
Coming up here.
It's up to you.
Mike, I go to 9 Russell Street. 2 quick things. The town of Milton is in the midst of a review of the Route 50 corridor just north of the village up to North Line Road, basically. And zoning amendments to accommodate a multi-use business corridor there are in the works. And I just asked, given all the discussion about zoning, and I understand the village is looking at the Route 50 corridor within the village limits, that you try to coordinate as much as possible with the town hill. Second thing, just want to say in the spirit of the holiday season, I hope each and every one of you is able to get a chance to experience the joy and wonder of the season, and best wishes for the new year.
Thank you, Mike. Anybody else in the audience? Great.
Good evening, Ray Otten, 16 Overcast, 16.
Yeah, 16?
Yeah.
That's Ray Otten, 16 Middlebrook Avenue.
Middlebrook.
Middlebrook. Got it.
First question I have, and I understand we aren't allowed to ask questions, that we're just supposed to make statements, but my first question is, what is the method for the general public to have face-to-face meetings to ask questions of the members of the board? And you don't have to answer because we can't ask questions. But I would like that to come out to the residents verbally, if we could. Okay, I think it's important because people want to ask questions, but we can't. We aren't allowed to ask questions. Okay, so I'm going to ask some more questions. Has anyone taken any of the recommended FEMA disaster training that I brought up several months ago? And I know we've spent a lot of time on coming up with proposals and changes to our procedures and all this kind of stuff, but we haven't taken the time, unless you tell me different, for a recommendation that came from the then head of the emergency services concerning medical in this village. A question that goes unanswered, and I don't think anyone here has taken any of that disaster preparedness training through FEMA. If you have, great, but I haven't, it hasn't been brought up at any meeting. Next question or statement. At the last meeting, I believe the mayor asked that I be contacted along with others pertaining to the CDTA and asking questions of the CDTA about bus stops and things like that. I have received zero communications pertaining to that. And again, just a statement, not a question. When it happens, I guess it will happen. I have another question. I'm asking about the parking at the west end of Middlebrook Avenue, which I've brought up several years in a row and several times. And I'd also like to know what the method is for looking into parking restrictions at the end of Middlebrook. The other day we had a fire on South Street, I believe, if I recall, on South Street, or West Street it may have been. And the truck went up Middlebrook, and I said, God, I hope that pickup isn't parked at the end of the street, because it's gonna be tough for that truck to get around that corner. And I have buy-in from the fire chiefs. I hope, yes. So it's a public safety issue. Next, I want to thank an attendee tonight, Martha Iapolucci, wrote a letter to the editor in the Gazette the other day, and I read it, and you know, we don't always see eye to eye and everything, Martha, but the last paragraph, it was as if I had written it, and I said, oh my God, I would use the same verbiage. It said, I believe that the residents of the village and town have the right, if not the responsibility, to attend meetings and respectfully question any actions and decisions made by the governing board. Yet again tonight, we're being restricted in letter N, I believe it is, that we don't want any comments after we change the motion. So again, cutting down our time last meeting and cutting down again for any public comment to what the board is doing. When do we ask questions? When do we question anything? You know, the general powers, according to the New York State Village law, I don't see anywhere in there where it says restrict the time and the questions that your residents that you represent ask. I don't see anything in there. I read it pretty thoroughly, and I'm not a lawyer. I don't even play one on TV, but I think we have that right and the responsibility, as Martha said.
Right, you gotta ask you to wrap up too.
Okay, and I think it's important that we all remember that we only have 5 minutes or 10 minutes a month to make our feelings known, make our questions known. And I think it's important that we all do that. And I would recommend that everyone in this audience takes that 5 minutes. It's not going to lengthen the meeting. Like I said, there's what, 12 people here. That's an extra minute. That's that 12 minutes we're going to save because of last week or last meeting's resolution. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Kristen?
Kristen Iapolucci, 24 Chapman Street. I wanted to come here in person to thank Mayor Rossi for the exchange on the All Things Ballston Spa Facebook group last week. I appreciate you taking the time to respond to over 30 comments regarding the rules of procedure in these village meetings related to conducting village business on Facebook. I want to reiterate here again that I appreciate your updates on Facebook. I think you do a great job at promoting our village and the events and sports and all the art activities. I think you do a great job doing that, so thank you. My concern with your Facebook is twofold. So first, as mentioned in our comments, for village business, Facebook should be a supplemental source of information about the village, not the sole source of information. So there's a reason why we're here in person with these village meetings and not via Facebook. It's to make them open to the public, inclusive for all constituents, not just those who follow you on Facebook. Your mayor's announcement should still be captured here in the village meetings as stated by the rules of procedure, as it should be in the, shall be in the agenda. So if after the meeting you want to put them on your Facebook, you should do so, but as an additional source for the public, not the only source. Second concern is what I previously stated in another meeting, just the village Facebook ownership into the future. So as more people become accustomed to receiving official village updates through Facebook, we should ensure that the village Facebook page fills that role in addition to the mayor's page. The town of Milton Facebook page could be a great example of how we could centralize information about village business and any events or updates in one easy to access page. So just looking into the future, the mayor, may move on in his political career, and if official business is being done through the mayor's Facebook page, I think we just need to understand who ultimately owns it. So a question for the board to consider, is the mayor's Facebook page connected to the mayor's official email account with the Village of Ballston Spa, or is it connected to his personal email account? And would that Facebook page of the mayor be passed on to the next mayor as our other official social media handles of other government officials? So just something to consider in the future as we improve our communications. Thanks.
Anyone else in the room? Mark?
I'm gonna come up there. So this December 21st is very quick, but we're,
Name and address.
I'm sorry, Mark Black, 10 Thompson Street, THOMPSON. So where's the camera? So anyone who would like to attend the Hanukkah menorah lighting, please do so. It's gonna be very fun. Rabbi Ruben from Chabad, Saratoga will be officiating. It'll, he'll give us services and all that. We're not doing candles. We're doing electricity, even though we asked for candles. We don't have open fires in the village. It will have gelt, which is chocolate covered coin, gold covered coins for the children, and dreidels. I'm not sure how much, it'll be a very nice, quick service. So please, everyone, join us. It's for everyone in the community, and it should be a lot of fun. Okay, thank you.
Anyone else in the audience? Yeah, go ahead. Got the online version. I said I have the online version multiple times. Anybody else in the audience? Bob?
Robert Bush, 71 Church Ave. Please mention ADUs. What I know is, how's that work when I go to sell the house? And I have a 2-family house. How's that gonna work? I get it's owner occupied, I know that, but I know that's details you have to work out later.
Right.
I understand that. I also wanted to ask, the form for being on committees that we approved you guys approved last meeting, where is it? Because I can't find it. And one other last thing, you guys mentioned during the motion end, you're gonna take away, you got another public comment to limit the public's voice. You guys say you're transparent. How is that transparent? It's not transparent at all. You don't want to hear from the public. You're just choking the public. Where the public, you guys work for. You guys represent the public. How are they supposed to get their views and their concerns across to you if you guys keep limiting and decreasing the amount of public comment that they have?
Were you completed
I
or?
got 5 minutes.
Okay,
I'm using the last bit of it.
just want to make sure.
I'm just gonna make this one comment. And the rest of the time, you guys waste my time in the last 8 months. I'm gonna waste your time in the last 4 minutes and 20, or no. Sorry, 1 minute and 50 seconds.
Mr. Mayor, can I answer this question about the phone?
We'll wait for the questions, etc.
Long time. Oh.
Are you saying you have nothing else to say, you're just making us sit here in silence? Is that what you're saying?
It's my time. I can,
All right, I think-
I can stand up here and sing Jingle Bells, it doesn't matter.
I think that's out of order.
How was that out of order?
Let it go. Unbelievable. What a waste of time you are. for here.
You wasted, motions we had last month, we wasted an hour on some of those motions.
You're just making us sit here in silence? That is such a waste of time.
We don't, we
That is
don't.
outrageous.
It's the same thing you're doing in the public.
Yeah, it's okay.
All right, I suggest then, let's just tell him the form is on the, online. And you can do it by search, or you can type in show all forms. And that'll get it to you. You're right, though, it's hard to find.
Thank you for, you know. Why would it be in the form?
Form.
There's not any forms.
It's somewhere under forms, isn't it?
When it's my turn to answer, I'll answer.
Okay, 20 seconds, is that accurate anyone?
Well, I got a minute and 19 seconds.
I think you're a little long in that one, but
Probably. We'll go.
I just have to say, I do not like how the presiding of this meeting is happening. I object to this game.
This isn't.
And I think it's
This is not-
irresponsible and ridiculous.
You're out of order.
I think this is out of order.
okay. Bob, your time's up. Thank you very much. Maybe else in the room? I think we have 3 hands.
Yeah, all right. First up is Dana Warner.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. Hi, Dana Walmer, 18 Coronado Way. And I am speaking as the executive administrator of the BSBPA. I first just wanted to thank everybody for coming out to our holiday parade. I think we can all agree it's probably the largest crowd we've seen since before COVID. And it just, Michelle Burlingame and I, my co-planner, we walked kind of behind the parade, trying to beat Santa to the park. And it was just this tremendous feeling of community and togetherness that we felt as we were walking up. And so it was just really wonderful to see the community come together. So thank you very much to all the trustees who participated and everybody in the room who was there. We really appreciated it. And then I am just using the rest of my time to speak to motion K. I'm kind of jumping ahead. I don't know if I can stay on the entire meeting, but I just wanted to discuss from a business point of view, item K and having Winterfest and closing down Front Street. The BSBPA is kind of Switzerland. We're neutral on this, but I did want to let you know that I reached out to 8 business owners today on Front Street, some on each side of Bass Street on the sledding hill. And I wanted to let you know that the majority were in favor of some sort of winter festival. And the majority were fine with closing down a portion of Front Street. They all would like to be talked to and involved kind of in the planning. They, they love an event and would like to be part of it, and would like to give their input into what is the draw to get people into their businesses. Just because there's an event doesn't mean there's sales that day. So it's kind of, they would love to work with the organizers and are supportive of that as well. A few things to consider. There are a few businesses on the corners of like Bath and Front on each side that kind of will be boxed off if it's completely closed off. So that's one thing to consider. And then, oh, am I over my time?
No, you're fine.
Oh, okay. And then the other, the last thing that was kind of brought up to me was just being mindful of delivery drivers. And, some of the restaurants operate through Melio and DoorDash and things like that. So making sure they could still get in to do business. And then the other thing is that is Chowder Fest weekend. I know some Ballston Spa restaurants not on Front Street are participating. I don't know if anyone is on Front Street either, but that is something to consider. So again, just wanted to give you, and eight businesses is not even close to all of the businesses on Front Street, but 8 was what I could get to today, and that is kind of the general consensus. And that's all I have to say.
Next up.
Next up would be Mr. Foreman Phillips.
Foreman, I hope you are doing well and you can start your time.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. My name is Foreman Phillips. I live at 101 Hyde Boulevard. Over the past year and a half, the lot next to me was transferred to an Evan Osmont. He and his mother, he says his mother is Elizabeth Cormos. My first question is, Elizabeth Cormos, are you the mother of Evan Osmont, as you've never introduced us? Hello?
I'll answer after.
Yes?
She refuses to answer until later on, Foreman, so you'll have to continue.
I don't refuse, that is the rules of procedure.
I'm trying to follow up on a previous speaker who said sometimes we have questions for members of the board, and I have a big question for the member of the board. It pertains to an email I received from Evan Osmont, who is building the house next door to me and has been for the past over a year, with lots of noise and confusion and dirt and so on. Anyway, and he was scheduled to move in over Thanksgiving weekend. I don't know if he has a certificate of occupancy, but he is moving in soon. Me an email, I'd like to read it. We take the matter of seeking informally resolve issues outside of the well-established judicial system incredibly seriously. Such informal requests are not welcome. All written, voicemail-based, and in-person contact made by any members of the Phillips household have been and will continue to be recorded and logged in accordance with New York Penal Law 250.00, 250.05. Evan Osmont is a graduate student at SUNY. And I would like to talk to him. I would like to resolve this issue. This is a village of friends. So I'm requesting of Elizabeth Cormos, assuming she is his mother, if she would meet with me and my wife and Evan Osmont and address this major problem at the village hall that he is trying to raise. I would like to be a friendly neighbor and have tried to be so. It's proving very difficult. Elizabeth Cormos, are you the mother of Evan Osmont?
I will answer in our comments and section, Mr. Phillips, okay?
I'm sorry, I didn't understand you.
I'll answer during the comment session that's in our rules.
The board responds right after public comment, that will respond.
That's the best you can do. Okay, I would like an answer to that question, and I would like a meeting with you and Evan Osmont, who claims to be your son and who is a graduate student at SUNY, according to a few people. And I would like that to happen as soon as possible, because you are one of the people who often cites the village as a place where everyone are friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Foreman. Next.
The next person is listed as CECENS, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Hi, it's Ashley from Community.
Hi, Ashley, go right ahead.
Hi, I just wanted to say that I look forward to doing some small business shopping this weekend. I think everybody's really kind of dressed out their shops very nicely this year. The holiday parade was excellent. My entire family was able to enjoy, and that was really a really good feeling. And I just wanted to make sure that you guys are all, I hope that you are all able to enjoy a holiday season and get in the spirit.
Thanks, Ashley. Thanks for everything everybody does over there, community. We do appreciate that.
Thank you for everything you do.
Thank you. Next up.
Next up is Mr. Keith Lewis. Oh, wait, hold on. No, wait a minute. This goes in the wrong direction. Christine Kernachan. First.
Okay, Christine, you're next.
Hi, Christine Kernigan, 12 Carriage Way, Vice President, Ballston Spa Business and Professional Association. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Hi, thank you. First, I wanted to make sure I took a moment to thank the village and the trustees who helped support the Small Business Saturday. It was a remarkable day, and at the end of the day, Trustee Van Denze and myself walked around to many businesses and visited with them, and they spoke very highly of the day. It was beautiful weather, and they were very happy for the support and just to see people shopping around town. I know Trustee Cormos came downtown and visited us at the hub, so there was great village support for that day, and I wanted to share how grateful the businesses were to see that. Also wanted to comment a little bit about the Winter Fest, and we know we're very sensitive to street closures and getting people into town, and being sure, especially for businesses who are open and have DoorDash or whatnot for food. So we do want to be sensitive to that, especially on a busy Saturday, which the Winter Fest would be from 10 to 4, and just be sensitive to some of those businesses. And also keep in mind that maybe with Chowder Fest, there could be some businesses downtown that are participating, but just wanted to support, Dana's efforts today of going and visiting or calling our businesses in town to get their feedback. And a lot of what we hear from our businesses is they love to see opportunities to bring people into town to shop. So like Dana says, we're neutral on what decisions are made, but we do want to be sure that we're communicating and getting the feedback from our businesses and presenting that to you folks as a team. So, we'd love to hear more about it, and just want to be sure that we're sharing what's happening with our businesses. So thank you.
Now I'm going to assume we'll go to Keith Lewis.
Now we'll go to Mr. Lewis.
Keith Lewis, 38 East High Street, Ballston Spa. I'd like to remind the board that we've still not had any kind of discussion about Saratoga County and their probable move. And every time I mention that with anyone here in Ballston Spa, people are concerned. And it would be nice to be able to talk about ways of positioning the relationships that each of you have, and to try and do what's best for the village so that Saratoga County doesn't just come up with a plan and leave. Perhaps it would be a good idea to look at it more proactively. Second, I hope the board, when you're entertaining big ticket items, you will look at the process, because I think the residents are accustomed to hearing budget at a certain time of the year and participating in that process. And when you move it past that, I don't think you're giving everyone an opportunity, because not everybody comes to these meetings. Not everybody is participating, but everyone for decades knows about the budget talks and negotiations for the village. Also, I would recommend on Robert's rules that you consider putting in a parliamentarian to oversee the village meetings so that there is some consistency. If you look up Robert's rules, you'll find that silence is actually conceding the floor, and it nowhere can I find that silence can be claimed by any speaker, whether on the board or outside the board. And I'd also remind that at different times, Frank, you have gavelled those that you don't want to listen to, and you have let those that you want to make this kind of political theatrics go on. And I don't think that that's, number one, I don't think it's fair. Two, I don't think it's helpful. And I think that it's distracting. And I think that we should have some consistency. And by setting a parliamentarian that would be able to have that, you don't have anybody setting forth one rule for one opinion and another rule for a different opinion. So I would strongly suggest that that be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the room? Yeah,
Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane.
not 11,
No, 11, 10.
just checking.
A couple things. First of all, I wanted to give a quick report on Breakfast with Santa. It was incredible. We served approximately 350 breakfasts. We sold out. It was quite an event. Everybody had a wonderful time, and it looks like we're going to plan forward to next year and probably plan for many more, probably 500. So that's the first event I want to talk to. Second event I want to talk to is on the agenda and has been discussed by the Business and Professional Association, and that's the Winter Festival. Oh, yes. Before I do that, I have to thank the fire department for cooking 350 breakfasts for us. Guys, they rocked it. They were great. Thank you, Mark. Back to Winter Festival. I had numerous conversations today with people to clarify what's presented in the motion is the worst case scenario for street closures, okay? Because we're still in the planning stage. I was hoping to get to talk to many more people last week, but we ran into some family issues with Mark and my work, and we never got to visit with as many merchants as I would have liked to. We always, before an event happens, go to every business, talk to every business, get their ideas, get their complaints, and make sure that we can accommodate them as much as possible. We're already discussing ways for deliveries to be handled, the possibility that we may not have to shut down Front Street all the way to 50. We're going to wait and see how things line up with the tents. Ways to encourage the merchants to bring people into their businesses, provide a map of businesses that do want to participate with things going on in their businesses. We've been contacted by Ribbon Cafe. We've been contacted by the Elks, all who want to have things in their places. So by providing a map, we want to make it an event that, and they just don't come to the village to sleigh ride. We want to keep them downtown. We want to have them visit the businesses, and if not, learn about them, shop in them also. That's our goal. And to all while promoting that sense of community. So it is in the making. We do have a lot of plans that we are going to be discussing, but at this point, we're asking for approval of the closures and the event because there's only one meeting this month. And if we lose an entire month, we're going to lose planning time. So that's why we're just asking at this point, and rest assured that it's in motion. It's a work in motion, and there will be things that will be tweaked. And by all means, like Family Fun Day, we got rave reviews because it was a fantastic business day for our businesses. People were in the shop shopping. So we want to keep that rolling. That's our goal too. So hopefully I'll alleviate any concerns that there may be about that. And we'll be open to any questions that you may have during your comment session. Thank you.
Thank you. Everybody else in the room? Anybody on Zoom left? No. Board comments, etc.
Just briefly on the winter, I'm calling it Winter Festival. I very much appreciate both Mark and Gina's efforts this morning. They've been in discussions with the BSBPA and receiving that feedback and already trying to come up with solutions on how to make it doable for everybody. And so thank you. Those conversations have been happening since the morning until this afternoon. So I think that together, that team, there's a lot of creative people with their businesses and with your team. I think there'll be some awesome solutions and some awesome opportunities. So thank you.
I'd like to answer the question from Ray. I don't think there's anything that says you can't ask a question. It's just we're organizing it such that we can respond during this session. Your question about having face-to-face sit down, I have always been open. I have sat down with a number of residents who have emailed me and said they want to talk to me. I've always, from the time I got elected, I was available. So via email or text, you know, you want to sit down, let me know. I've also, you know, reached out to various people to get their input as well. So as far as the disaster prep, I believe, Carla, you were looking into that, and so, you know, I don't know, that's where, at least that was my impression, instead of us, you know, that you would organize something for us to take on that.
I wasn't, or I had a contact from NICOM, Harry Reid actually was supposed to get in touch with me. I met with him at a conference I was speaking at, but he has never gotten in contact with me. I'm happy to reach back out to John Mancini and find out, but I wasn't, I think I was just connected.
Maybe it was
everybody.
my misunderstanding that we were waiting for you to.
I
you
will
know.
see if I can reach
But
out to him tomorrow.
Over the holidays, when things slow down and we don't have a meeting, you know, I'm willing to take a look at it. I also have to retake the harassment data exam again, because I belong to a board and they want me to take it again. They won't accept the villages. On the CDTA, I did, after the board was positive about you know, working with them, I did reach out, and I apologize that I didn't include that in my comments, but I asked them directly, do they do public input as part of their process before they decide, you know, what they're going to do is via the bus shelters, and they said yes, definitely. The first steps for them are to find a consultant that they will work with, a transportation consultant, that just like we do with the grants, they pick a consultant, and he said he would get back, but she said she would get back to me, you know, with a timeline on it. So it is fully expected that there will be public input into the, you know, potential location of bus shelters. As far as Bob's comment on selling the house, if we pass a code that says, you know, it must be owner occupied, etc., that, you know, the unit's approved, but it, a number of municipalities have handled that situation where the owner of the property signs an affidavit saying that, you know, they're living in the house, and you know, that they're an occupant of the house, and it's not, you know, a absentee landlord situation. So you know, if you bought the house and it has this unit, if you're willing to sign, well, I'm the new owner and I want to use it as an accessory dwelling unit, you just go through that process, and that's part of the details we need to work out. As to the fact that folks are saying we're restraining public input, I remind you, when Mayor Romano was in office, he allowed 3 minutes and did not necessarily have a comment back. He said your piece, and that was it. So you know, and under Mayor Woolbright, I think, what was the time limit? I'm trying to remember, but it was shorter than 5 minutes for sure, and there was one session. So
I'm Mayor Rossi, just so you know. I'm Mayor Rossi, just so you know.
Yes, I know you, man. We'll see. Why
Well,
not?
We're talking about previous minutes.
Because this is historically, we are not constraining your time. to the, you have to look at it over time, historically, what other mayors have done. So that's just my point. As far as Mr. Phillips, yes, Evan Osmond is my son. He is an adult, 33 years old. He owns the property next to me. He's building a home. Unfortunately, that home is taking a little longer, as homes often do, to finish. Mr. Foreman Phillips and his wife have met my son and his partner. They came over, they had a nice conversation. I'm not sure why he thinks he hasn't met him yet. And I have no idea what my son wrote. I'm not responsible for him. If Mr. Phillips wants to meet, I'm perfectly willing to meet with him, but I cannot say my son will meet with him as well. That's up to him. Oh, just one question on the Winter Festival, just to be clear. This is a village event, and is the organization ask involved, or are you just, volunteering? I just,
The Mayor's Advisory Task Force, Task Force will be doing it.
okay, just wanted to clarify. That's it.
You answered most of the questions, I think, already. Is the festival, or is there gonna be a request for funds at some point? Or it really doesn't cost anything beyond DPW? What?
Are you offering?
No, my assumption was there wouldn't be anything, but once you start talking, and it sounded like a bigger event than the traditional go down the hill, so I was wondering if you were, if anyone, Frank, or anybody was intending to ask for funds for this event.
We probably would do that right off the rip, don't you think?
I don't know, that's why I'm asking.
You want to give us money?
Okay, so my assumption is there's no money being requested, that this is just kind of a DPW time, so that question there. I want to thank you, Mark, for doing the Hanukkah festival celebration. It's very nice.
We're doing we are doing on the fourth night of Hanukkah because the rabbi had previous commitments, but he's been very helpful, and we are asking anybody. This is part of our peace initiative, and we are going to ask other ministers and religious leaders in the community to join us. I talked to Chief Bush, or I emailed Chief Bush about having some security there for us because of what's going on in the world. But it should be a very nice night, and I think very positive thing for our village.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for doing that. And I also, last thing, I just want to say, I am also available by email, and I have my phone number on the website, a Google phone number. So anytime anyone wants to talk or contact me, they should feel free to do so, and we can arrange to meet face to face if that's something that's desired.
My response is first to Mr. Otten. Yeah, it isn't defined that you can ask as many questions as you like in the 5-minute period. That the idea that you can't ask a question, I'm not sure where that came from, but that's not the case. Regarding FEMA training, I originally had it at Warren County when I worked there a number of years ago. I also had to take it again for New York State DOTs. So I have taken the FEMA training.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
And Mr. Bush, your question regarding the homes, was that regarding the owner occupied, or was it if somebody turned it into a 2-family and wanted to sell it?
It was, if someone goes to sell their house, that essentially is a 2-family, you can have 2 separate living quarters.
Right.
I was wondering how that, and I know I understand a lot of things that have to be still decided and whatnot. So just kind of getting you guys' thoughts on how would you go about that?
Well, it would be a 2-family, and if that's a concern for the owner that they may not want it to be a 2-family, then they wouldn't develop an ADU.
after they sell it, when they'll come up with a buyer. They go to, say.
Well, the buyer would be aware it's a two-family home.
No, no, it wouldn't be classified as a two-family, it would be classified as a single family with an ADU.
Okay.
And the ADU would be subject to whatever the ADU code says. If it says you have to be owner occupied, then if you want to put somebody in that unit, you better live there. So,
That's what I was basically getting at.
Right. yeah, so you've got to live there and you've got to sign an affidavit that says, I am a resident of one, either the ADU or the primary residence. That's the way I've seen other municipalities handle that issue.
Is that currently in our code? That particular zoning code?
No.
An ADU?
No.
So if we did pass an ADU, then it would be a two-family until that code is modified.
Oh, if it exists now.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, there are plenty, I think, of illegal, not, there are two-family, three families in single-family zone, and there are homes. I just walked into one that was having an estate sale, and there was a kitchen upstairs, and I don't think, yeah.
I'd also like to add, and I guess this is back to Mr. Otten. Everyone has basically infinite access to every trustee through email. And I'm more than happy to take as many emails as you want to send. There's a lot more room for access to the trustees than other just 2 times a month. That's all I have.
Can I get a motion that the attached budget transfers be approved?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fondanza,
Second.
trustee Raymond, discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the Unified Company number 2 be authorized to expend the amount of $5,695 for SCBA masks?
Make a motion.
Trustee Fondanza,
Second.
trustee Foremost, discussion?
Can I ask, since we have some representatives here, if they've heard anything about that grant and also their plans to, I remember when I did the grant 2 or 3 years ago, it was, this is equipment that's needed. And so if the fire department doesn't get the grant, and I think the grant was for over $100,000, are they gonna need $100,000 or $130,000,
Okay, to answer your question, and
Yeah.
feel free to correct me if I'm wrong here, Chief Bayshore.
As of today, there's been no grants awarded since September 28th. And
They still have a lot of money to give.
apparently they have a lot of money left, but they haven't done anything in 2.5 months, so I'm not holding my breath. As far as the equipment that's needed, we will continue to purchase small quantities as we can within our budget, and it was $200 and some thousand that we were looking for in the grant.
All in favor?
Oh, that was,
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the DPW be authorized to expend an amount of $12,000 for rock salt?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Raymond, trustee Baskin, discussion? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the Friends of the Library in partnership with the Library Board be granted permission to submit the attached Glens Falls Foundation grant application for consideration?
make that motion.
Trustee Cormos, trustee Fondanza, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the Village of Ballston Spa adopt the following policy effective 12/13/22? No videotaping or photography are allowed without consent in the village offices building or village hall. No loitering is permitted in the village hall. Visitors to Village Hall must be there to conduct village business. Violators of this policy will be asked to leave the premises, and law enforcement may be requested to enforce this policy and or remove violators.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fondanza,
I'll second.
trustee Baskin, discussion.
I'd like the first sentence removed because I don't think we've had enough time to discuss the implications of no videotaping and photography. I did see the YouTube video and agree that we should put in place immediately now, no loitering, which I think would have covered that situation.
No, we're not.
And
It wouldn't have. I'll be honest with
can
you.
I please finish? Uninterrupted. So my own feeling is I would approve this motion with the first sentence stricken, and then we can talk about some of the implications, who's going to do the approvals. Are there going to be circumstances where videotaping and photography are allowed? I don't really see an issue with photography. It's taking a still picture. That front hall of Village Hall is, I consider, public space. You know, that's something we need to discuss.
I get a motion to table this motion until after an executive session. Trustee Fandesa.
After an executive session.
Yes.
What do you mean? That we're gonna bring it up again?
We would discuss it further in executive session
No, we can't.
yes, we can actually, by
Can we?
advisement of our
You can
council.
because there's a personnel issue involved, employment history or personnel person. That's horrible. English.
I would say it's worth it, because I will just say this, in the legislature, no one is allowed to just come in with cameras unless the legislature seats them and allows certain press in there. You know, it's at the discretion of the government. I think there's a little bit of complication of, you know, what is it called, auditing or whatever it was called.
First Amendment audit.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, you know, I think it's worth a discussion in executive session.
Motion's been made for
Does the executive session have to be announced with notice with the public meeting?
No.
No.
We've done
On the fly.
spontaneously.
it. Yes.
Yes.
You
can.
can.
Can I get a second on the motion to table pending executive session?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Want to go roll call? Well, so let's go to a roll call vote, or vote, well, it's motion table, so it's got to go immediately.
Trustee Raymond.
Aye.
Trustee Ballston.
I thought we don't discuss this first.
It's a motion to table, so it goes automatically a question. What, that was I? Yeah, I'm sorry, just to make sure, yes, it was I.
Trustee Cornels.
Abstain.
Trustee Fandesa.
Yes.
Mayor Rossi.
Yes, we'll take this up later. Can I get a motion approving the purchase of the fire truck for Eagle Mat Lee Fire Company #1 depicted and described in the attachments, and authorizing the mayor to execute the necessary documents and enable that purchase so long as the purchase is made with the financing contingency that is present in the attached documents.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fandesa. The mayor will second it.
My first question is, when was this sent?
This afternoon,
What time?
around 4:30 when it was completed, right, because we had to verify some information.
I was off the computer a little before 4. I just saw this now. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
What's your
I have-
questions?
I have been asking for data for a month, and I get, you send it at
Liz?
4:30 before the meeting. After I've asked for it multiple times, I probably have 6 or 7 emails saying, please send me this data, please send me this data.
Liz,
I will-
this data is the same data provided in real time in a meeting, now on paper. It's no different. The only difference is that it is, we learned last week, it was that the USDA loan is the useful life of the vehicle. And so actually the initial payments can be lower than we, excuse me, what we originally thought they were going to be. So the question was, especially from Sean, on affordability, and it's quite affordable based on those early payments. We can always expedite payments, as I said earlier, make sure that if you want to pay it down quicker, whatever, bless you, that we can. But the initial payments are now in the $65,000 range, which is well within their reach.
So the principle I'm gonna speak to is, we haven't seen this data before.
Yes, you have. It's in
We have.
it's in your budget and your
We
AUD.
haven't seen it presented the way we asked it to be presented a month ago. And when you're making major purchases, we need to see that so that we can examine it, think about it, review it for accuracy, ask questions, and all that has been made impossible by the lateness of the information.
Ben, were you a part of this board when the budget for this year was approved?
We asked for this information.
Were you part of this?
When we ask for information, we shouldn't individually have to go back to the original budget and then calculate individually where we are today and project forward. That is the purpose of staff, to provide that kind of analysis and response to requests for information, that we can all share a common basis of data and respond to it. It's not up to us to dig through the papers, and there undoubtedly there's information we don't have access to, so we'd all be asking separately of our treasurer and you, as we did for this information. So I'm not going to pretend, and let's not pretend that this information was available and accessible to us before 4:47.
It was drawn from our budget and our AUD. The only additional information is we pulled today the current status of account just to see what the usage has been. This is from today. And that's what we got. Basically, for fire chiefs, 56%.
We didn't know the payments till 4:47 today. We didn't have that. We didn't have the.
You actually did. It was stated in an open meeting 2 meetings ago.
No.
It's actually lower now because of the 20-year number.
Right, the numbers keep changing.
Right.
So
Actually improving.
what we're dancing around here, which is the actual issue here, is apparently this only took a couple hours to develop, and I don't understand that it was requested weeks ahead of time.
Actually,
It only took a couple hours to develop. You're gonna let me finish. man.
Actually,
You're gonna
I'm
let me
gonna
finish.
actually clarify something. The actual issue here is the safety of our residents, Sean. It
Okay,
is. No, Chris, you're out of order in our audience right now. Thank you.
Vote. I've already told you, if I wasn't provided this information in time so that I could vet it and look at it, I just saw this.
So to hell with our safety.
I will be abstaining from the vote.
To hell with our safety.
No, we will look at this, and we could very well approve it after proper review.
With
So we're not saying no.
additional cost.
You can take the blame for that, Frank,
I
because
can take the blame.
we've been asking for this
This
data
has
for a
been
month,
a pattern of
and it's
behavior
4:47
for
today.
6 months. 11th hour actually doing the work.
And a pattern.
And
Pattern for you. Okay.
Where's the gavel now?
I'm sorry,
Because
the
he's
comment
irrelevant.
period is over.
No, actually, it's not, because he is a relevant person to the motion. So now sit back and listen to the person that's relevant to the motion.
He's about to comment on Sean's,
I don't really care what he's about
I
to.
don't know what I'm about to
Yeah.
comment, okay?
Okay.
If I was a paid member of your staff that you request information from, and I disown all my other duties of my more than 40-hour work week that I do get paid for. Okay, I know you guys get a check at the end of the month, whatever, and it's not as much as it maybe should be. But to stand there and say, sit there and say that enough time wasn't put into this for you to look at it. If you don't think the 25 years I've done service to this village and worked with Frank with numbers is worth a damn thing, then you got issues, all right? So let me tell you, you want to wait, that's good. Another $94,000 will be added to the price of this vehicle, making it over $1 million. All right, which would be the most expensive fire truck ever purchased by the village of Ballston. So that's fine. You don't trust us? You want to abstain or vote no? Go ahead. Not going to look very good for you when you've got 100 firemen up your butt wondering why this hasn't happened, and you risk the safety of the citizens of this fire district.
Well, I hope those firemen are listening, because I'm going to scream exactly why this is happening. why this is happening is a pattern of behavior has developed where we ask for information, and the day of, or on a Friday late before a weekend, we get information. And I'm sure everybody thinks that, I have a full-time job, Ben has a full-time job. Liz runs her own business.
Frank has a full-time job too.
I'm sure you do.
Just because every
Right,
time
but as mayor, you
everybody
signed
says,
up
and as trustees, so did you.
full-time as mayor.
As trustees, so did you. And you know what 4-412 says, Sean? This is your matter. The finances are your matter as much. Okay, so why haven't you gotten this information?
The code said, confirm that the trustees provide oversight. And for me to provide oversight for the public, I have to do my due diligence and vet numbers and verify numbers. When they're handed to me at a meeting, when I haven't had a chance to do that, I would be doing a disservice.
So
to
ask
the
me about the
public.
numbers.
I am not going there.
No, okay,
I
so,
am not
so,
enabling a continuing behavior of
Okay.
last minute.
Sean, let me tell this crowd now, the reality of a lot. And you forced me to go here, so here we go. 5 years, 4 years, a year and a half. You have no clue about your finances, about your budget, about your AUDs. And this is what I've learned the hard way over the last few weeks. Because the questions that have been asked about things like this are befuddling. They are basic questions. I don't get it. When it comes to figuring out whether they can afford it or not, you approved $126,000 rollover just a few meetings ago, because we knew that they had saved $40,000 and $80,000 the last 2 years, 40 plus 80. So as we've stated, that it looks like a continuing situation, especially as their contracts continue, I believe, to go up in Milton and have a certain number that's staying stable in the town of Ballston. So I'm not sure what is perplexing about that aspect of it. The only thing that has changed since the last time we talked about this, where we said out loud what the payment would be, is the fact that USDA says it's 20 years, not 15. Great. Slower lead on that. Second, we also talked by advisement of Carla's colleague, Larry, with the Bank of Greene County, just to see what alternatives are out there, because we also had the 5.75% alternatives that were shown that Colby Crow came in and showed you 2 meetings ago. And we found out there's a possibility, because of the way that Bank of Greene County does their municipal work, 4.9% is achievable for 15 years. Still above, well above. 3.5% has to be locked in for January 1st. This pricing has to be locked in now for the truck itself. That's what's changed here. And the questions that have been fired at me, the approaches on how to pay for it, how not to pay for it, have been absolutely remarkable, if not mortifying for me. Because again, I'll give you another for instance, folks.
When did you
I'll
find
give you
out
another
that
for
this was
instance, folks.
3.5%, for instance?
Was said to you in the first meeting.
No.
Yes,
checked
it
the
was.
Minutes, and there was no.
It was stated.
There was no,
It
nothing
was-
in the minutes about the interest rate.
Okay, go back to the video then, because it's there. 3.5%, because we know what our last one was.
So
There's,
that would have
there
been
is
an
a,
easy
in
question to
motion,
answer.
motion M coming up, the Marabito natural gas sales agreement. This board, or the 3 members of this board, passed this very motion a year ago. 2 of them passed it 2 years ago as well. And I got emails today about, we want this information, that information, and everything else. What's the brokerage fee? This,
Frank, we're
that,
talking
other
about
thing.
the fire truck.
Excuse, I'm talking period. Thank you.
You stick to the fire truck?
No, I'm bringing up a grander point right now. Thank you. So what's happening here is that what's good for thee is not good for me type of scenario here at all times. This is, at the end of the day, about safety. The numbers were stated to you.
No,
The numbers have been stated to you multiple
No,
times.
they haven't.
Yes, they absolutely have.
Frank, is
Ben?
the existing truck broke down? Yes, no.
It has
Existing
broken
truck
down.
is out of service as of tomorrow morning, will be for several weeks
Okay,
In
so it's getting
repair.
fixed, it's getting repaired,
in repair.
it's gonna be functional. So in essence, this is, if we have a functional truck, this purchase is non-essential equipment. Correct? If we have a functional-
There, something, it's been breaking down multiple times.
Yeah,
I understand.
I brought the
I
bill.
don't disagree that you need to be fired.
It's frustrating.
But the point I'm trying to make here is this apparently, which only took a couple hours to do.
It did
It's
not
not-
take a couple
it's not-
hours to do,
It
Sean.
is not.
You keep saying all you
It is
want.
not the responsibilities of the trustees to do the financial.
Yes, it is.
analysis Upon request.
Four
No,
dash
it's not.
412. Go look at it yourself.
Oversight. So when we request information.
What is
we're
oversight?
supposed to get it. And we didn't get it for weeks, Frank. I don't know why you couldn't have just done this, which took you less than a day, weeks ago.
It did not
And we
take me
didn't
less than a
vote on
day.
it. I vote on it.
Barbara, what was the first thing you said to me when we walked in today about that document?
I thought it was really good. That's what I said.
And why wasn't it a few weeks ago? Why didn't?
Because Barbara, again,
Sean,
Good question.
you keep raising your voice, and I don't feel like anybody's being heard.
Well, I apologize,
I appreciate that, I really should talk.
Been getting interrupted.
Please
but
talk.
I'm getting talked over constantly.
You're talking
and I
over
haven't
him
been
too,
able to
so I
think.
think let's just talk and try to calm down a bit.
I said very clearly at the last meeting, show me financial projection, show me the numbers. I'm willing to work with you guys and produce what he didn't.
You got the number.
I don't have.
Yes, you
all
do.
the
There they
numbers.
are, they're right in front of you.
Ask me about them.
It's a page and a half, read it.
Oh, no, you're not gonna take the
I-
time to do the village's
You better
business
talk,
right now.
Frank.
Now you're raising
Look,
your voice.
I looked at the numbers briefly, and one of my concerns is the fact, if you don't get the grant, you have, what,
The
200,000?
grant's not a factor in it.
It's an expense.
We have $35,000, but in our operating budget right now to replace any SCBA packs and
Okay,
supplies that we need. We're holding off on that to see if the grant comes.
Okay.
If the grant doesn't come, we will do a limited purchase of already allotted money that then we will take the remainder and roll over into the fund towards the
Well-
truck. So we've been exceptionally fiscally responsible. Okay? And we knew this was gonna be coming up because it's a very large purchase, right? For us to show you that we've taken steps over the past 2 years to be that fiscally responsible, to help out and not just stand here and demand that we have a fire truck. And that statement about, it's an unnecessary, that's
I don't-
way out of bounds.
I don't agree with
That's
that.
not what I
Okay,
said.
that's way out of bounds. That shows me ignorance,
I'm
right?
telling you,
But we have done a lot of preemptive preparation to be able to cover 2 years, right? That it's only gonna be 2 years that there's a gap between the current payments, which are handled quite nicely, and this would be substantially lower than those two.
yeah, but you're
Alright.
gonna be double, you're paying for two
No,
debt services, you're gonna have an overlap of at least 2 years.
right, 2 years, and we're paying.
And it
for
may be even more. We got early delivery on the vac truck and.
I'm not real, how you wanna say, optimistic that
Yeah.
that's gonna happen the
I
way the
looked
current
at your
market.
projection and you had what? You said 40 and 80 left over in the last 2 years.
Right,
The projections in the budget say you have only 27 this year, the end of the current year.
I think
In the
you
budget,
misread
that's
that.
was the amount.
I
See,
think
that's
you
what we wanted to see. We wanted to see exactly the numbers over time and show that you can do this. It's a pretty simple thing. And
Liz, their budget was balanced the last 2 years. They were plus 40, plus 80 in the last two.
then-
Okay, sorry, it's my turn. It's my turn. Chief Crow's on here if you'd like to comment. All right, what you gotta understand is this money is for us to use however we want. If we want to skimp on other things and spend $65,000 a year for a fire truck for 20 years, then that's what we're gonna do. This is our money. This isn't anything that any of anyone in here provided. Unless you live outside the village, you did not provide to this.
I understand.
So these budgets are ours to decide how we spend it to protect the community that we serve, not just the village of Ballston Spa, but outside where all this money's coming from on how we spend it.
Can you
Okay.
guarantee that you will meet the obligation?
We
of
wouldn't
the-
be here requesting it if we couldn't.
No.
They could have met it at 90,000. They're now at 65.
What you don't look at in the big picture is over the past 2 or 3 years, we've spent or allocated $65,000 a year for new chief's cars. Well, we have those, so they're gonna stick around for 10, 15 years. So there's 65,000 a year right off the rip, starting next budget year that we don't have any reason to spend it. So we're gonna put it towards a new truck.
Well, we have no reason not to believe you, but we need to get the numbers and look at the numbers before we make decisions. And the two basic questions we had of administration was, how much is this gonna cost? And can the fire department pay for it? And you're saying you can't, but we didn't get that answer. So right now,
Well, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about why you didn't get it, because I wasn't at the meetings where this was discussed. I'm here because the chief couldn't be here tonight. If you like his comment, I'm sure he'd be willing to weigh in.
Chief Crow,
But
would you like to
we
go ahead?
can, being the chief coming up for the next 2 years, I guarantee we will cover this bill, whatever it may be. I don't care if it's 100,000. We will spend less money on other equipment so that we can purchase this truck. This truck is gonna die before the new one gets here. If it takes 2 years to build, the one that they put hundreds of thousands of dollars in over the last 5 years is going to die, and we're gonna be without a truck. It's that simple.
Chief Crow?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I apologize I couldn't be there tonight, but I am dealing with some minor symptoms of flu. And I thought in the best interest of everyone there tonight that I did not attend, even with a mask on. So I hope you appreciate that off the rip. So kudos to my two, my captain and assistant chief who stepped in for me tonight. And I applaud them for everything that they're saying. Now, I want to refer back to 2 years when Liz and Sean were on the board, and we approached the board 2 years ago to draw these specs up to replace this truck that we are trying to replace now. At that point in time, 2 years ago, folks, and I'll put this out to the village to let them know, they turned that truck down. They didn't want to do it at that time. Here we are now trying to pursue a truck. $167,000 more right now it's going to cost to build this truck because of material increase over the last 2 years that you turned down at that point. If we keep going down that road, people, you're going to be struggling down the road. We're going to be struggling. Now's the time to do this. The numbers, you guys could have reviewed them for the last 25 minutes you've been arguing. I've attended your meetings. 5 hours of my life is wasted at meetings when I go to your meetings. 3 hours 2 weeks ago when I could have been doing bus extrication with my department. As chief of this department, I am very proud to say that I'm the fire chief of the Ballston Spa Fire Department, but I am ashamed to say that I am politically involved with the village of Ballston Spa. Now, Liz, to back up to some of your concerns that came across emails to me 2 weeks ago on a Sunday night before a Monday night meeting. Where's the time frame there to give me some warning notice? The grant, as of 11/22, we have not received the denial letter yet. That's great for the grant, and there was still $90 million available to be distributed. So that is on hold. We do not control the feds, okay? Excess funds, the mayor covered that, over $126,000. Will revenues increase over the next 2 years? My answer to that, yes. Town contracts are coming up, and we are going to be asking for a 5-cent increase on per thousand of assessed value. Secondly, the town of Ballston has got 6 new properties that are not yet on their tax maps for assessed value. Number 1, Hannaford. Number 2, Peak Point Apartments on Route 50, 60 units. Number 3, Enclave 50 on Route 50, 81 units. Another one, 5 Mile Square Apartments, 35 units. You people probably don't even know these exist, but they're in our fire district, and we're continuously going there to assist the community of the residents in town of Ballston who support us. Number 5, Dominic Hollow Apartments. You see the big apartments going behind the Ballston Spot Bank on Route 67? Yep, they're ours. We got that too. It's 60 more units. And last but least, new townhome development off of Brookline Road, 24 units. Okay, so as far as the major expense lists that Liz brought up, we've been pecking away at that in our budget since 2018. And we will not be asking for another apparatus until the 2 that just came to us last year, the 2 rescue trucks, are paid for. All right. Look it, I come to you guys, we give you everything that we can give you for support. All right, Sean, we're just asking that this here, you guys review these numbers. You could have done it in the last 20 minutes of arguing. All right, let's try to be professional here. And if this meeting takes 5 hours because you need an extra half hour to look at these numbers, then darn it, let's take the 5 hours for public safety and life and property. Because I don't want to have to explain to a family or a loved one that I could not get the proper water apparatus to my fire because it was broke down in a shop 35 years old. That is not the answer that these people deserve when they are paying for taxes for the fire department, for us to come and protect them.
Everything you told me, you've just told me now. Why wasn't this put together a week ago where we could look at all?
Yep.
That
You
you predicted you were gonna ask for an increase, that's additional revenue, that you're gonna have more properties. We shouldn't be hearing this now. We should have heard this weeks ago.
Those comments I just gave you are nothing that's on that paper. Okay, that's nothing that's on that paper.
What? No, it isn't. It should be. It should be. A revenue prediction should be there. If you've got one, it's called a pro forma. You
No,
put
it's not,
out.
actually. That's not.
I
a pro
can't-
forma.
No, that is not. What he told me is part of a pro forma, that they're
I
going to
did
raise
not
their
give you
rates. Gonna
how
bring
can
in
I give it?
additional
It's not a pro forma. Pro forma is a document, Liz, not a living being like that.
The point is,
First off-
this is good information, and in order to make a considered decision, it's helpful to have not just this before today, but that information too. That's excellent. I appreciate you bringing that to us now. It is very important to know that our revenue will increase, or is projected to increase in those ways that we were not aware of.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I could have gave that to you, but I don't know a dollar assessed value here. I can tell you that there's growth going on in the town of Ballston. There's even another plaza going in before Brookline Road with apartments. I don't know assessed value of how much it's going to be. I can just tell you they're buildings right now. You know, I don't know what the assessed value is going to be until they're completed, closing is done, etc. But again,
All
right, so what do you-
valuable, but they shouldn't have been presented now.
Well,
When
actually,
asked us just before, we're supposed to make a major financial decision.
the way this should have worked, if we're going to be talking about process, is this probably should have been discussed during the old business topic of fire truck, so that actually the public would have had a chance to comment as well after a back and forth discussion like this. You basically just did an end run to exclude your public from having a comment session about this very issue right now. And I'm pretty ashamed of you guys for that part of this. You just played.
You should have issued this weeks ago, when you were requesting.
Issue what? I don't have this. I don't have the data. I don't have the data. Kevin just.
Get this to us earlier.
all right, can I finish? You guys can wrap it up, please. Can I finish?
Yeah.
I hope every one of you on that panel right there respects the position I'm in. All right, even though you're not involved with me much, I hope you respect it, and I hope you trust me. I put my hand up in oath to swear to do my job, fulfill my job duties as a fire chief of the village of Ballston Spa. And to this day, I think I'm doing that very well. There's one time that you didn't get the information that you were asking for in the timely manner, okay? I'll take it on the chin. I will apologize right now to every one of you on behalf of the Ballston Spa Fire Department that we did not get to you. It is busy. We are up to 500 calls this year. And last year we did 380. I'm not making excuses, but we are running rampant. And I am trying to do the best I can to keep up with fire reports, incidents. I got lawyers calling me on structure fires we recently had. It's a lot for one person to handle, okay? I apologize, we didn't get that to you. I am asking you this evening, right now, for you to look over these numbers. Moving forward, we will do a better job. We will work with you. I'll work with the fire commissioner, who was appointed at that time, Mike Bayshore, upcoming chief for 2 years. We'll work with the commissioner at that time. We are asking you tonight to lock this in so we can move forward, because the price of this truck is only going to go up, up, and up, and cause taxpayers more money. You are saving taxpayers money this evening if we can talk about this and get it through. That's all I wanted to say. I appreciate your time. Again, I apologize not being there, but I didn't want to be down there with flu-like symptoms at your meeting. And thank you again.
Thank you. I appreciate, and I do appreciate your position and your statements. Have you seen these numbers?
I have seen them.
Yeah,
I-
again, Chief Crowe, I do appreciate the information you just gave us. And in no way is anybody here questioning, your integrity.
No, the timing is the question. The timing of that paperwork's the question. I understand.
I don't know that it's your responsibility to produce these numbers. That's,
Actually, it is. It's somewhat in between him and the board, but this is their budget. And basically, to answer your question, Ben, what takes so long? I've been on this job for 8 months. I literally had to recreate the entirety of the fire budget and the previous fire budgets to unravel where the numbers are and are going. And then also get additional details. Our pre-application meeting with USDA was last week. So
you had to dig deep to get these numbers.
yes, in terms of.
So that sort of
in terms
contradicts what you said
No.
before. You should each be able to get these numbers. Just go in and get them. They're right there.
Come on.
No, Ben, it's about understanding the budget in the first place. So something I should be doing over the next 2 months, and I will be doing over the next 2 months in terms of producing a budget and understanding what the needs are, et cetera. Basically, we had to retrofit the entire situation. We don't have Julia here to go through it anymore. Barbara, thank you for what you have helped pull out in terms of the current usages and all that today. On very fast notice, because we thought that might be helpful as well to know exactly where we are this year on things as well.
Thank you. Brent, you know, when we ask for information, the least that we could expect back is saying, yes, I'm working.
I did. I stated it to you since Saturday, and I have been working on it diligently since Saturday.
Last Saturday, that's 2 days ago. Yeah, but we asked a month ago and there was nothing.
Ben, there's only so much I can get to you if I don't have a full answer. Like I said, USDA pre-application meeting was Tuesday.
Just talk to us, Frank. Tell us what you're working
I
on,
did.
get us what you need or what you have.
Ben,
And I'm just trying, this needs to change. We're all saying that this pattern needs to change about 4:47 PM, the day before the meeting, a major purchase. We're supposed to decide that, and it's not fair. It's not fair to the village taxpayers. It's not fair to the village board. It's not necessary.
To Chief Crow's point, though, hold on, everyone. To Chief Crow's point, we've been going back and forth about this for how long? Can you guys just take a moment to read it? It's pretty simple and easy to understand. Can you look at it right now and can we make a freaking decision? They need that truck. Just take a moment. I mean, do we have that time frame to be able to do that?
happy to.
I'm
Are you unwilling to do so?
I'm gonna just say, I have no doubt that if this is what the fire department numbers came up with, and they're comfortable with them, you know, I can vote on that.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion that the mayor be authorized to accept and execute documents related to a USDA approval for a purchase of the fire truck at $942,000 at an interest rate of 3.5%.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fondanza,
What did we just vote on?
this was discussed earlier. You were ignoring apparently what I brought up during the fire discussion earlier.
Remind us.
So we just voted on,
I will second it. We'll go to discussion.
I'm not voting on something, I'm not sure how that's different than what we just did.
Because you just said you would purchase the truck. Now we need to approve the financing if we are okay on the financing. We're
And where's that
And I
motion?
would like a commitment from you that this scenario will not happen again.
No, you won't.
Where's the motion, Frank?
Time out. The reason it's happening right now, Liz, is because this is how the USDA process works. It is extremely tight
No,
time.
I'm not talking about the USDA process.
What
I
then what are you
meant
talking
your
about?
process of leaving things to the last minute and then pressuring us to vote on something without seeing the data we requested well ahead of time.
Liz, you just approved the fire truck. Now the question is, are we going to accept the financing if we get it, the best case
Okay,
scenario
answer
financing?
my question first. Are you committed to not doing this to us again? Because it is very poor management.
Roll call vote.
Where's the motion?
I just,
Motion was to
Where-
pursue.
It's not
use-
written?
He said during the, I forget, whatever part of discussion
Old
earlier,
business.
old business, thank you, that if we approved the purchase, we were gonna do this. And we're approving it at 3.5% as indicated on the front page of this. It is the best option here, is 20-year loan. Like, come on, I made the motion, Frank seconded it, let's vote.
roll call.
Trustee Raymond,
Yes.
trustee Raskin,
Yes.
trustee Cornell,
Yes.
trustee Fontaine.
Yes.
Mayor Ross.
Yes. Can I get a motion? How far are we? Thank you. Can I get a motion approving the easement and Front Street Wi-Fi agreements between the Village of Ballston Spa and Slick Networks and authorizing the mayor to execute such documents?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fondanza. I will second. These documents have been reviewed by council. Carly, if you want to update.
Sure. This is documents that were reviewed a couple times. We went back and forth with Slick Networks. If you recall, as I indicated in my email to you, there's two documents. One is the easement, which is, like a 100 square foot box cabinet for them to put their Wi-Fi next to the fire department. They're getting an easement in perpetuity to put their cables, and in consideration of that, the firehouse is getting free internet for as long as the easement is there. That's the easement part. The Front Street Wi-Fi agreement is separate and apart from that. And that is Slick saying for the next 3 years, we're going to provide Wi-Fi hotspots along a specific area of Front Street between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. each day, and longer if the village board wants to. So that's a separate agreement. And we just
We pay for it anymore.
yes, yeah, yep. And so they're two separate agreements, but they're done, in the same motion. But I have reviewed them legally. I have no problem with any of them.
I just remember briefly when I looked at your comments, there was something about a 3-year and then perpetuity. How was that resolved?
Right, I sent an email.
Today, I was working, so I didn't see it. So.
Me too.
When was that, Sam?
Oh my gosh, I have no idea. I honestly.
'Cause I didn't see it either.
Okay, well, I can advise now that, as I just indicated, they were two separate agreements. The perpetuity and the 3-year are separate. The 3-year has nothing to do with the easement. The perpetuity is the easement in exchange for free Wi-Fi at the fire hall.
Free internet.
Free internet at the firehouse. That's the perpetuity. Next document is the agreement that says, hey, we're Slick Networks. We're going to get, I can't keep saying that name. We're Slick Networks. It just doesn't sound
You're going to be the new spokesperson.
no, please no. It is a 3-year agreement that they will provide Wi-Fi hotspots for free along a specific area on Front Street, but they're two separate. So I got that question answered. And I apologize that my email didn't come out till later today.
We got something from Frank at 6:44 tonight. So what is that?
And what that, I can tell you exactly what that is, because I got the same, we were working with the folks at Slick. I had asked them to revise the documents, frankly, to revise the documents. They revised the documents. They gave us the documents. I have sat here and looked at them. They meet legally the questions that I had.
So is there emergency with doing this meeting? Because we haven't even read these documents.
But I guess my question is, from a legal perspective, I have no concerns with the documents. What you guys want to do from policy perspective, I can't touch.
Yeah. One of the things is what you just mentioned is with the easement, then you're committing the firehouse to use Slick as their internet
For
provider.
free, yes.
For free.
No,
But then we're basically picking them.
No, you're not obligated to use that service. It's up to you if you want to use the service.
I mean, I suppose you could pay for it. I don't know. I didn't.
No, I mean, if
Paul, would that be a value?
It could save us $2,880 on our budget, put towards a new fire truck.
no, again, last
That's our
minute,
yearly phone and internet.
last minute documents, something that came in just before this meeting. I'd like to table this.
This is not a last minute document.
The documents had come in. You just sent out a
No,
document.
everything was accepted by.
Right.
by
I
Slick.
made the comments and they accepted them. That's all that was a clean copy of the accepted document.
And they needed to add in a, what's it
The
called?
extra time.
No, the location.
Oh, right, the description.
Thank you, legal
Yep, yep.
description.
So I haven't read it.
You didn't read the other copies that Carla sent earlier with her notes?
Yes, but you said there's added stuff.
No,
in
no,
it.
she got it all her concerns. She had corrected
But she
and
said
had them
just-
accept,
she
they
just-
had them accept. They
She just
accepted her
said they
thing.
just described additional information.
No, it was
No.
the
Legal description.
The Schedule A. It just hadn't been connected and I said, we need the Schedule A before that I want them
Would
to.
it be possible in return to get internet for the all village offices?
No, that's not in the cards, Ben. The general policy is the building that's housing it is the bonus. We're getting something more than most people would ever get from them, which is the Front Street Wi-Fi for 3 years.
Will that cover the police, you think?
It might up the hill enough to get a little bit of reception, but
So in this contract, there's no exclusivity regarding Wi-Fi.
we
I
all
looked.
looked, we all looked.
I looked, I made sure. it was-
Now, I'd like to know on this Wi-Fi, they did mention that they want their logo on there.
On the landing page.
Mhm.
On the
That means when you sign on, it pops up and says.
And we,
But
and I
then
talked to,
whose Wi-Fi are you going to look at, and are they gonna sell space advertising, who knows what on?
they are happy to allow, I suggest the BSBPA, for instance, to create the landing page as long as their logo is on the ultimate landing page. So I think that's a fair offer under the circumstances.
I'm concerned about the advertising. I mean, I've been in hotels where they provide the free Wi-Fi and you get all kinds of ads and stuff. And if this is gonna be the village's Wi-Fi, I wanna make sure that what's on there isn't.
There is no endorsement beyond accepting a service at this point. So if Greenlight wants to come along at some point and offer as well, they are more than welcome to. We got other spaces that we could get more free outdoor Wi-Fi on down Route 50 if it came down to it.
Again, this thing comes up at the last minute. I
You
mean,
had the documents and
What,
I'm
the
sorry,
whole
I-
weekend? My God, I devoted
Yeah,
the whole weekend to this.
So, okay. Your sarcasm is unnecessary. I'm just being honest. Everybody had those documents. Carla sorted out minor things that we just wanted clarification for them to accept. I think that you're crying, I don't know, it's unnecessary and you had the documents and I think we can move
When did we
forward.
get the document?
I don't remember offhand, but I read it and I was able to read Carla's responses and it's enough.
I guess my question is, do you trust me enough to give a legal opinion or do you have to review it? I mean, I guess
No,
that's
I
my
don't, I'm
concern
not
here.
questioning the legal opinion, I'm questioning the structure of the contract. And committing ourselves to a vendor without,
All in favor?
I'm.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
Okay, so we'll reflect that Liz abstained. It was unanimous. Other than that, motion carries. Thank you. Can I get a motion authorizing the mayor to execute an agreement between Ballston Spa School District, you should say Central School District, and the Village of Ballston Spa related to this winter's ice rink. The agreement is to be substantially identical to the attached agreement from 2021, including provisions related to the village, providing the insurance related to the rink and related activities. Furthermore, the agreement shall encompass the usage of the school district's land near the Bark Building for the rink and, to the degree permitted, the Bark Building for warming, hot, and storage activities. The mayor shall not execute such agreement until authorized to do so by the village attorney after her review and approval of the legal terms.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Baskin, trustee Fundane said discussion.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
well, there's a third party involved, and I guess signing this contract doesn't change one way or the other our need to negotiate with Bark.
The school district is actually handling that right now for us in terms of the board, so.
And there is a contract that talks about ice skating. I don't know if you were able to find it.
The
or-
2021 one, I think you're looking
No,
at,
there's an old one when the building was built.
yeah, that one I've not seen,
Yeah. not-
but at least we
the
got this
school-
one.
The school has, he said he uncovered it, and it wouldn't be bad to have it in the.
We we were not able to find something like that on our end, so. But nonetheless, obviously, we don't have the true agreement here, but the idea is in the next month, we're gonna need to get this wrapped up because winter is here.
Yeah.
In case we didn't get
Well,
the,
thanks for working on this. I hope we can resolve it amicably and where everyone feels comfortable with what's happening.
all in favor? Aye, opposed? Motion carries. Trustee Fandesa, please take the gavel for the next motion. Ceremony.
Hopefully I won't have to gavel anyone.
I hope you don't have to gavel anyone.
All right, may I have a motion to approve the contract with Bartlett, Pontiff, Stewart, and Rhodes PC as attorneys for the village for the period of December 13th, 2022 through January 1st to 2024 at the cost of $5,000 per month or $60,000 per year for retainer fee. Fees for work outside of the retainer will be as follows: special matters, $225 an hour for attorney, $100 an hour for paralegal. Bond counsel, $2,000 for notes plus $1 per thousand of the issue. The contract also includes disbursements for related expenses to services for counsel. This motion authorizes Deputy Mayor Van President to sign the contract. Now that motion.
I'll make the motion.
Thanks, Ben.
I'll second.
All right. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. Thanks for making it easy on me, guys.
I love the fact you just preempted all discussion.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You're gonna take your lessons.
Look forward to working with you for another year, Carl. Thank you.
Congratulations.
I know, I wish you could say likewise.
You guys got out of your way. You do really good things.
We get a motion authorizing the,
No, don't clap for me ever.
just Bob. Can I get a motion authorizing the issuance of purchase orders for equipment related to the USDA loan for DPW equipment that is to be delivered between December 12th, 2022 and February 13th, 2023. Said loan having been obligated earlier in the fiscal year, and authorizing the mayor to execute any documents related to such purchases so long as the costs for such equipment are consistent with or less than the prices approved within the USDA loan application process. The motion approves the use of general fund balance to pay for any such equipment until such time that the USDA loan closing occurs and funding is provided.
I make the motion.
I'll second.
Discussion, by the way, I just got a note from Brad Patelli, is the person from Slick, and just to clarify something from before, it is the village's landing page, not Slick's. He wants to make it certain to everybody here. So just back on that. There we go. Thank you, Brad, for giving us that note. Okay, back to us with this DPW equipment. Just to explain to folks out there wondering here, we had approved the DPW USDA loan back in the summertime. some of the equipment's coming faster than we thought, the back truck, and I want to say loader, but I'm gonna verify, because I do have Jeff's email from earlier today. That's, doesn't give us all the information I necessarily wanted, but we're close. Received information that the expected delivery date for the street sweeper is early to mid-March. Representative from HL Gage International said he would have dump truck production scheduled from the factory on Friday. Now saying won't have it until tomorrow. He's trying to circumvent and get me an approximate date this afternoon. Waiting for pickup truck information, hoping to have this afternoon. More info on the 2 dump trucks. As of now, trucks are scheduled to be built in December of 2023, then shipped to Viking, where the dump box and salter equipment are installed and delivered to us, the OB. We may get a production update tomorrow. Hopefully it will show an increase in the schedule, but if it did happen, I would guess it would only be by a few months at best. Are we on hold? So again, the idea here is that we want to accept delivery of this equipment. Unfortunately, we don't get the money from USDA until one of 2 things happens. The loan closes, which happens when all the equipment arrives, or we would have to segregate out the loan and lose at least a portion of our preferential interest rate of 2 3/4% that we had locked in earlier in the year. For now, I think we've reached the conclusion that we have room to breathe in our fund balance to a certain degree for now. The idea here is if we need to go and get a BAN, we can do so later, but probably not until we need to do it. The interest rates on loans are still in excess of the interest rates we would gain on interest. So the Hobson's choice here is, in the idea of going against fund balance for now, and then making a determination we need to change horses if something happens to these dump trucks, or severing the dump trucks out, forfeiting the grant portion that went with them, and paying for them out of fund balance later on, and getting the funding from USDA for everything that arrived up to that point. But that's a couple $100,000 of loan forfeiting we'd be doing there, not more.
So how much are we going to borrow from fund balance? You said it's for the back truck and another piece of equipment?
Yeah, I believe we were in the $600,000 range, give or take.
Okay, 600,000. And what's our interest rate on
On fund balance,
yeah,
I
earnings.
believe it's about 2% was the best interest rate on deposit. We had probably less than for most of them though.
okay. No, just so that we have a
Yeah.
feeling. We're borrowing from ourselves.
Yeah, loans are more expensive than the interest
Yeah, no,
scenario.
I expected they would be, but we're not gonna have it, that money is gonna be out of our system and not accessible until we get reimbursed,
And like I said, we can change horses later if we want to.
if we need to.
Yeah,
What's
so
the total?
the
amount
total
of
total,
purchase? Yeah, the
1.2 million and
1.2.
change, 1.1 of which is loan, and the other 100-something thousand is grant.
And on the sort of worst case, when do we expect to close?
Jeff said that he thinks that they're building. From what I understand, the pickup truck, it was just recently ordered because I don't think he had much concern about that coming in. It's the dump trucks that have been the issue. December 2023 is when they're scheduled to be built. He's going to get us a more specific directive on that tomorrow. Welcome to the new paradigm and equipment, right? At least for a couple of years, it seems like, with
So sometime in
delays.
2024. Probably.
Yeah,
The back truck.
back truck is ready to go. That's the one that's most important. We've had an injury on that back truck recently, and so this is something that we need to be careful about.
Yeah, that truck is held together with wire and
When will it come
duct
in?
tape.
Very soon. Yep. Okay. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the Winter Festival event to take place on February 11th, 2023 from 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. with the following street closures? Bass Street from West High Street to Washington Street, and Front Street from Milton Avenue to Science Street, and from 6:30 p.m. until 9:30 p.m. at Kelly Park for a bonfire and fireworks display. Insurance is to be the responsibility of the Village Ballston Spa, since Village is a village event. There is overtime anticipated for DPW staff during the day of 2/11/2023 in setting up and removing the snow on Bass Street Hill, although it cannot be fully determined to what degree due to the potential weather challenges that could exist.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fandesa, trustee Baskin, discussion.
Do we think, is there any need to change February 11th to the Chowder Fest?
Actually, Kevin and Christine, we were talking on something unrelated, Gene and I, and this came up actually in discussion, Anna actually broached it, Stanka. They're fine with it. They want to figure out a way to get it better integrated ultimately. And we even suggested, hey, they may have a tent up there for food vending. They want to come up and do some chowder on the fly up there. They're more than welcome to ultimately. So it's a good work in progress. And one of the interesting things is by doing this by accident, timing wise, Chowder Fest has outgrown itself, honestly, in Saratoga. And so here's an opportunity maybe to get a little bit of an alternate location for the event to house our own businesses that don't want to go into the maelstrom of Saratoga Springs during that whole thing.
Chowder Fest South.
Yeah. Is that Manhattan or New York Chowder?
Sure, and I have, given long slide, that for one, we have enough volunteers to cover the whole length. Because the last time this was held, there weren't a lot of volunteers, and that made me sort of nervous if some kid goes flying out.
You're not going to catch them?
Yeah. So, want to make sure, they have sufficient emergency services nearby.
Gina, Mark, could you address that question? I think it's a fair question.
We have a lot of volunteers.
We will make sure that they're all as emergency services.
Okay, and the other factor for the village is our insurance company aware we're doing this kind of activity, and do we have sufficient coverage?
Terry, this has been an insured event for us before, correct?
So that they are aware, because we didn't do it for a number of years, so just want to make sure they know, so that if anything happens, they know. That's
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the renewal of the Village of Ballston Spa's existing healthcare plan with Empire and Medicare plan?
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Fandesa, trustee Raymond, discussion.
As I understand, we don't have enough time to renegotiate with the unions on this. So we are sort of need to choose the Empire plan because that's what the unions want. I think people should be aware that it does cost over $50,000 more than the other plan. So that is an additional cost to the village.
That we did put 10% in for, so it's actually the 3% differential that is higher for us.
Yeah, okay, but that is additional cost, whereas the other plan would have cost us, only $20,000 more than the current plan. So,
but that's actually not fully the story, because if we had 60% or greater usage of that plan, it actually would have cost us more. There was a risk factor involved, and that's part of the issues that the union reps had with the whole thing, was they didn't feel like it was equal benefit, and they also didn't like the risk factor ultimately, and were concerned about what happened if we did exceed, if it was going to come against them. So they vetted it. This is what we're supposed to do according to our contracts, and the process worked the way it's supposed to, and we'll stay with Empire essentially. Just need the authorization to sign off on that fact.
So when do we get to negotiate another health? Is that next year?
Well, the question, here's the news I hate to break to you. You're basically beholden to what the unions want in terms of what you provide. So if they're liking this Empire plan for a long time, they will have the ability to keep us on the Empire plan. You're not going to get them probably in a negotiation to kowtow otherwise. They're going to want the health plan they want. Welcome to union negotiations, which is fine. I mean,
well,
that's what they want.
I did talk to Elaine, and she said that with more time, we could have potentially negotiated and given them something else that, would have been favorable for the village. And she suggested, we allow enough time when we look at health plans, because health plan is one of the biggest expenses.
I spoke with Cody Fabian and Mike DiMartino today with the police union, and they are completely not in favor of budging from this position whatsoever. And so I would tell you that that's going to be probably not a winning negotiation point ultimately. Either way, here we are. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Can I get a motion approving the attached natural gas sales agreement between the Village of Ballston Spa and Mirabito Power and Gas, and authorizing the mayor to execute such agreement after the village attorney approves any final needed minor amendments. Note this pricing was negotiated and reviewed by Upstate Utilities and Consultants Incorporated, as they have done annually for 4 years for the village. Trustee Pandesa.
Second.
Trustee Raymond, discussion.
I requested some basic information about this. Yes, I proved it the last time around, but
Twice.
just because a consultant has made a recommendation in previous years doesn't mean we don't take a look at the numbers. Want to know what our estimated expenditures are for gas. All we have in the documents that I had access to is the cost of utilities, which was $164,000. I assume gas is a good percentage of it. And I asked a question on the consultant, how does that consultant, get paid and how much?
So I did get a response, and here it is. Mirabito on 12-month basis is 12 cents per unit. Supplier 1 was 12.5 cents. Supplier 2 was 12.7 cents. Supplier 3 was 13.1 cents. Supplier 4 was 13.2 cents. I sent this out to 5 different suppliers, and MPG came back with the best pricing. The other suppliers that I sent this to were Engel, Marathon, Direct, and Major. I am paid by the supplier, and I have been in business for over 20 years, and I'm not going to tell anyone my fee. Daniel Russo, Upstate Utilities and Consultants Inc.
When did you get the email?
It just earlier today, I asked for it.
All right, so that's good information for us to see ahead of time, just for this documentation.
I sought it out based on your request today.
No, I know, and I'm not blaming you for this one, but just in next year.
Thanks, Ben.
You're welcome. Next year, though, it would be good to ask, like, I'm surprised he doesn't just provide this to you, as part of.
Actually, not for nothing, and Barbara is my witness on this one. I was pretty irked with the lateness of this whole thing and gave him a talking to about the fact that I had about 4 business days to go before this rate expires. And so we have to sign this tomorrow. Note to Jen, we have to sign this tomorrow if it approves, because we have to get it in there. So also the fire truck agreement too. So we have to get a bunch of things in.
What is our current rate?
Do you have the current agreement up?
I just want to.
So if you could,
They did go up. I know that for a fact, and that's why he's switching again.
So if you could ask him to put in his file as a
Yeah,
note
really.
to send us that documentation in a timely way next year, so we're not.
Oh, yeah, I read the riot act, trust me on that part. I was not happy with the lateness of this.
I think it's like 0.7.
Sounds like we got much better price than the other, thing we looked at.
Yeah, but I want to know what's our current, because I'm concerned, all these prices are going up. And we're going into budgeting shortly, and we've got to cover those.
So Barbara received this email. I've been doing business with the Village of Ballston Spa for quite a few years. I'm broker, represents 10 suppliers. Last year, we went with a NYMEX Plus product for gas. NYMEX Plus is just a portion of the total price. It's the pipeline charge. The pricing is still too high to completely lock in your price. So that is the reason that I'm recommending to go with the NYMEX Plus product, same as last year. Your current agreement is up soon. Last year's NYMEX Plus price was 7.5 cents. This year it's 9.1 cents. Again, that's not the entirety of the pricing, it's just the pipeline. I've attached a new agreement. Please call with any questions. So just on the pipeline, it's 1.6 cents higher. And then obviously some material too.
What's the total difference? Give me pieces of it.
Well, it's 0.091 minus 0.075, and I'm a lawyer, not a math person. So
1.6 cents.
whatever that is.
Well, we can figure that out later if you have more
Okay,
questions.
I just am concerned about our future budgeting, and these are costs that we can't control. We can't use, I guess we could use less gas if we had more efficient boilers and all that, but that requires capital investment, but, you know.
Yeah, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Got to get a motion to add the following language to the rules of procedure to provide clarification regarding public comment. Currently in the rules of procedure, the quote, the public shall be allowed to speak during any public comment period or of the meeting, or in the event motion is made and up for discussion that has not been listed on the agenda. This motion would add the following sentence after the previous sentence. Quote, there shall be no public comment allowed for proposed amendments to motions that are listed on the agenda.
I'll make the motion.
Trustee Baskin,
Second.
trustee
So-
Cormos, discussion.
So just to clarify this motion, this does not change the rules of procedures in my mind, but clarifies the way the rules of procedures have been intended to be interpreted. Is my understanding, I think other people's understanding that there would be public comment, as it says, if there's an event of a new motion, but not if a motion's just amended. And in practice, most of the time, when we amend a motion, we don't open it up to public comment. But except when it's politically expedient, but it's not the normal. And so I think, again, to have a reasonably reasonable length of meeting, that it makes sense to clarify this, that when there's an amendment, there's not a need for public comment. It's just when there's a new motion no one's seen before. So again, I think of it as a clarification.
I guess I would like to just caution against this. Sometimes our motions are so radically different after our own discussion that I think it would be a nice courtesy to our public, which we already reduced the amount of time that they can comment, or opportunities, I should say. I just don't think that is a good thing to do. I mean, our point, yes, we're voting on things, and, but I have a heart to want to listen. And again, our motions are just so different sometimes that I just don't think this is the right move for us to take.
Well, my fear is that this has been and would continue to be discretionary, where no comment is sought when it's not expedient for the person who presides in the meeting, but comment would be sought otherwise. And I'd like to just clarify the rules when it's done and when it's not done, so that it doesn't become an unfair kind of action taken in some instances and not others. And that's why I was hoping to clarify a place that there was some ambiguity, because I feel like it has been utilized in different ways like that.
I'll call the question when I feel it's expedient to do so, I guess. So
Take the vote.
when I find it expedient to do so. And that's the whole thing here. I think this is getting to the point. Carla, on average, how many times do you see rules procedure amended in a 5-year period?
They're just adopted each year, the same ones usually.
How many,
You folks didn't have rules of procedure before this year, though.
how many amendments do we have now?
You did not. You did not. That's why, and I'll take it upon myself because I made you guys put it in writing. Maybe I shouldn't have.
No, I think.
Take a motion to revoke the approval.
No, I think we need it. And they are the only thing that keeps these meetings somewhat controllable.
I think we've had 4. I do want to say that we don't do Robert's rules. I know that was brought up at one point. We don't do Robert's rules. It's not recommended that village boards ever do Robert's rules. When that was discussed, that's not what you folks do, in case there was any confusion.
What do you say? Roll call on this one.
Trustee Raymond,
Yes.
trustee Baskin,
Yeah.
trustee Cornwall,
Yes.
trustee Van Denzen.
No, please don't. Oh, excuse me. Choking on a cough drop. Please don't in the minutes that I feel this is curtailing public input, and I just don't think that's a good thing.
Mayor Ross.
No, also, same reasons, and also, in general, I think we saw the danger of that some of the changes are being made by how the old business to motion progress occurred today with respect to the fire truck. Okay, other business?
So before Carla came in, I just want to revisit the minutes issue, since it was unresolved. So the first thing I'd like to do is make a motion, and here's the motion. Motion, and there's another change to the rules of procedure. Motion made by and seconded by that there will be no written comments about another board member's motion allowed on the official meeting agenda without the express permission of the author of the motion. Furthermore, there shall be no editing of another board member's motion without that member's express consent. So that's the motion I'd like to make. Do I have a second? I'll second. So discussion.
Excuse me, you don't preside.
Okay, go ahead.
Discussion at this point. This is a new motion and public comment is allowed.
That is right.
Anybody really like to offer public comment? Anybody in Zoom land?
I'm going to say something. Gina Morosi, 10 Old Glory Lane at 10. Old Glory? Old Glory. The micromanaging and the unwillingness to work together and compromise is appalling by all of you. And this is just another example of micromanagement. You're micromanaging this village to death on stupidity, and nothing major is getting accomplished. And I, for one, am just totally disgusted tonight, totally. Thank you.
Just for the record, the mayor's note was there is no quote recently revised ethics code. There is a draft put forth by a committee to propose revisions to such code and by our village attorney that is under consideration. Furthermore, trustees Cormos and Baskin submitted pages worth of proposed revisions that must be reviewed by our village attorney and the committee chair to create a revised draft from which the trustees can work. As such, no draft ethics code is attached to this agenda. This motion is at the request of trustee Baskin for an unspecified date and time. That is actual all informational, Ben.
So in my opinion, that is disparaging. Those are comments. It is meant to convey confusion or something like that. And if you were confused about what I was intending, I think it's pretty clear what I was intending, but if there was confusion on your part, then the thing that I would ask you to do is to talk to me about it before the agenda goes out, before you write something that I don't have a chance to see or discuss or respond to. So for example, I had that, where's the quote? Where's so, you know, to say there's no recently revised ethics code. There's no recently revised ethics code. So obviously there was a recently revised ethics code.
Trying to hear.
Oh, okay.
There was a recently revised ethics code. Maybe I should have put the word draft in there.
Excuse me?
Yeah, back here.
I'm sorry, Mike. Would you like to say?
You have gavelled Kristen twice.
No, I gavelled
20
actually.
times,
I
at least 20 times.
I-
People behind me have made noises or spoken out and.
Mike, I just gavelled everybody talking because I couldn't hear, and you're not exactly helping matters right now because now you have to ask him to repeat everything you just said.
I'm sorry. So anyway, just about this specifically, apparently it must have caused some confusion. I didn't say draft ethics code because we all did get a revised ethics code, a draft. And so anyway, I think it's not helpful or fair or respectful to put in comments on someone else's motion in the agenda that goes out to the public. Instead, what I suggest is that when the motion's read, if there's questions, you ask, what do you mean by revised ethics code? And I'd say that's the draft that we got. So that's what I request, is that there are no comments, which when they're on there, inevitably they're going to reflect poorly on whoever you want to achieve that with. So,
But Ben, this motion was questioned about the timeliness, about where we were in the process and everything else. We did actually try to work. with you on
Right,
this
yeah,
motion.
and that's what we do verbally at the meeting. I object to the written note. And what, I wouldn't even brought this up because you didn't actually read it at the meeting, which is like, all right, whatever. But then it appeared in the minutes. It's now in the official minutes, and I'd like that off the minutes because it wasn't even read at the meeting. It's not a part of the meeting. Is that a separate motion to take that off, Carla?
I don't know if you guys amended your minutes already today.
No, we tabled them, but it's because I wanted to amend them. So I was thinking, why don't we just amend them?
Is it separate than the other? The
Yeah,
second
so
motion you're
let's
making?
just-
Yes, they're
let's-
two different issues.
Yeah, so we'll make that motion after this first motion I just made. So that's the motivation behind the motion, is just to be fair to everybody, that there's no comments that I might object to under my motion. Rather, let's make it a discussion. And leave it at that.
This had been discussed, Ben, that's the whole.
Yeah,
thing.
exactly. So don't
And the
put it
problem, and the problem is that it was not accurate, and so we're trying to get to you to
It's
figure out how
not
to
for
handle
you
this.
to determine.
It was not accurate, Liz.
It's
No, no,
not for you
it
to
It-
determine.
And you're basically lying to your residents about the status of a motion or a
No,
situation.
it's not a lie. There is a revised code. You thought I should put the word.
The
draft.
code is not revised, Ben.
All right, yes, so I should have put the word draft. So that's easily reconcilable with, and you don't need to put a 5-sentence comment on the motion. It creates bias and an impression that is negative and is not appreciated. It's again, it's unilateral. I don't get to respond. Just show us the respect and courtesy to discuss it with us. Ben, I think you need to edit this, put the word draft in there, or whatever else you have, and we will discuss it, and I'll be reasonable and say, yeah, you're right, let's put the word draft, but to just put it on for public consumption without notice, without dialogue, I think is unfair and discourteous, disrespectful. And so I'm making the motion because I asked, can we not do that? And there was no response. So now that's why we do motions. So, all right, I'm done with discussing. Can we vote?
Heard anything?
No, I think that's a little much. We could work together. I don't think you need a motion for it. That's fine. So don't.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I think we could work towards it, discussing things more. But I think I've been consistent. I don't think we need to have a motion for every micromanagement of the things. And so I personally don't support it for that reason. But
I think we do unfortunately need these rules because of the way these meetings have been going and the way the mayor has handled these meetings. We need to do it. We didn't need to do it under previous mayors, but we do now because otherwise we get comments on a motion that somebody else made that should be discussed with the person who made the motion or discussed at the meeting if there is. But that is, your motion is something that you create that belongs to you and
No,
it
it
should not
belongs
be
to the-
edited.
Belongs to the village.
Well,
It belongs to the village once we vote on it.
yes,
No, everything we do belongs to the village.
But
Yes.
not, doesn't belong to you though. Anyway, whatever, it belongs to, whatever that means. We should show each other the respect that we expect from each other when someone makes a motion. Just respect the person, respect the motion. If you have a comment, talk to the person, don't just unilaterally add your own comments or change the motion. That's a very forward courtesy.
Just a quick piece of housekeeping. 12 out of 15 motions before this one tonight were actually requested by me, and this meeting was 2.5 hours long, not 5.5 hours long. The last meeting had multiple motions from you folks that had to be rewritten, et cetera, that went to 5.5 hours. I would take what you just said, Liz, and say to you, yeah, okay, whatever you say.
All right, let's move it along with this vote.
can we vote?
Kristen, I appreciate your unnecessary comments and everything. Maybe inside voice for a second, because it just detracts. It does. And Gina, same thing.
Yeah, Gina does that all the time.
I'm just
Mr.
trying to
Mayor,
balance it out.
I'm telling you that there have been at least 20 incidents in the last 2 hours of people behind me speaking that obstructed my hearing, or guffawing, or chuckling, or having a conversation. And you did not do anything. That's the point on
Thank you, Mike.
All right, let's vote.
All in favor?
Aye.
Roll call?
Trustee Raymond,
Yes.
trustee Baskin,
Yes.
trustee Cornrows.
Yes.
Trustee Van Denza,
No.
Mayor Lawson.
No.
I have a piece of other business as well. Okay. The motion I'd like to make is that all motions on the agenda be put out to the whole board by Wednesday at noon, including the mayor's motions, such that we have a chance to look them over. So a draft list of motions, you ask the trustees to provide their motions by noon on Wednesday. I think you too should provide your proposed motions under the same timeline, the rest of the agenda, and that would at least give us some time to ask questions, to resolve some issues, but your motions land in front of us this last Friday, I think around 3 something or other, it's not even by noon. And then we have the weekend, which we might have plans. And Mondays are absolutely nuts because we're left with so little time to prepare. So that's the motion I'd like to make.
That's worth discussing.
Trustee Raymond, discussion. Yeah, the public comment, sorry. Right,
Thank you, Liz, because what you just said is exactly what I brought up at the last meeting. Is that all resolutions, or it's a little bit, might have a longer time period. All resolutions must be submitted at least 14 days in advance of the village board meeting. Exceptions will be permitted only if shown that there is less than a 21-day deadline attached to the resolution. And it involves funding a contract requirement or other legal obligations. That's exactly what I wanted. We got a 2-week period right now where there's not going to be a meeting. So whatever's coming up in the January meeting should be taken care of now, so that in January, you guys have all had ample time to discuss things, and then it just rolls on and on and on. So that's exactly what I said. So thank you so much for reinforcing that. You listened to the public. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well,
Mark,
my timeline is a little bit shorter than yours.
Yes,
but-
it was, but the same idea.
No,
Same idea.
Mark Black, 10 Thompson Street. As someone who does things with the village, events and such, it is incredibly difficult to work with you guys, to get information, to get something passed. We are always, it seems like, running behind a fire drill mentality. The Saratoga Arts Grant has become the hugest mess because it took 2 weeks for you guys to agree on a document and the memo of understanding when the grants are due on Wednesday. They became available on Friday, and the grants are due on Wednesday, I believe, or Thursday morning, I forget. To have something, we have got to stop. Liz, I think it would be great if that could happen, if things could move quicker, we can get ahead of things, but to say that it's a cutoff on Wednesday, that means you then have to wait to get something approved for another 2 weeks.
no, I'm just saying, the rule that we follow, that the 4 of us follow, is that I have a motion, it's gotta be delivered to the village by noon on the Wednesday before the meeting.
Not actually correct.
No,
Can I,
No, it's not.
me?
go ahead.
Sorry, I'm not taking up your 90 seconds.
That's okay.
Okay. Just because I want to clarify something, the rules of procedure specifically states currently, all members of the board have the right to place items on the agenda, provided same is presented to all board members by noon on the Thursday before the Friday, before the Friday meeting. It means
Thursday, not
it's a
Wednesday.
Thursday, but it is all members of the board, so it's already in there that the mayor is part of all members of the board.
But we don't do that.
So there's no need, but there's no need to amend it because it's in there,
Okay,
is what I'm saying.
so that means we should see
Right.
Frank's motions by noon on Thursday, or they don't appear on, they shouldn't appear on.
Neither should yours right now, should it?
This is other business.
Okay, neither should yours, or else just save everything for other business. I mean, Liz, really,
No, can you put it forward a day or two? It would be helpful.
we try, Ben, we try a lot, and unfortunately, we end up with situations with last minute stuff left, right, and center. So we're trying to do the village's business. There's a judgment call I have to make in terms of doing the village's business, or basically saying, hey, procedure matters overall. And that's not something I'm going to sit here and say procedure wins compared to the village's business when it's stuff that needs to get done.
I think there is,
Wait, I've got 90 seconds left.
oh, sorry.
That's okay.
That was my fault, sorry.
That's okay. But for instance, with the winter festival, that, we've been working hard and figuring this out. It just came up. We want to get it going. If it, if it hadn't been put on Friday or today or whenever it was, because I had a family emergency. Friday, we wouldn't be having a winter festival. And we wouldn't be serving the public, providing the public with something that they want. So, and part of the problem is we have an incredible office staff, but they're limited to the amount of work they can do and get done. To find out information for us to facilitate certain things. Frank is, Frank is not a full-time employee. That's supposed to be a part-time job too. So all you guys are part-time, well, different staff. So, we have to work with each other. And that's what we hope, all of us, hope you guys are willing to do.
This week, I was not even in the office, and Friday I had a closing down in New York City, and so the attempt was to get it done. As Carla can represent, I sent her an email on Monday, I think, about things that needed to be done for Thursday because I wasn't gonna be in town. We needed to finalize on Thursday if possible. And unfortunately, I literally was sitting down at an Indian lunch spot down in New York City, finishing the agenda at 3 o'clock and getting it over and everything else. Again, it's not by choice. This is the job that unfortunately I have to do and decisions I have to make at the end of the day on this stuff.
I think there is some way to meet us a little bit in terms of the timing. I mean, if you're going to have a motion, even if you haven't crafted it yet, just to give us a heads up, this is you did that, for example, with the proposed water and sewer rating, where you did say, oh, by the way, I'm going to put this on this. So that is very helpful for us ahead of time, before the Friday. You're going to put on something about the fire truck or something about, most of these you probably knew about before Friday, and it's helpful to see that information, even if we don't have the final motion.
We were still waiting for answers on if we had some leeway timing wise with that fire truck on Thursday, late into Thursday. So I honestly did not.
It would be a draft agenda. That's what we'd like. Just give us, one of the problems that we have is communication.
I'll give you another example. The Friends of Library grant, we didn't even have the documents from it until Friday.
No, it's not like everything's gonna be done before Friday, but in the instance you can send it forward, that would be helpful before Friday.
So ultimately, we don't need this motion, is what Carla's saying.
Okay.
Let's try to
Try to do Thursday at noon, Thursday at
try
noon,
something.
Or do you want to amend that motion to
No, I don't think we need a
Wednesday?
motion. And this is my point. Every time we're like, because we're sad about something or we feel like slighted, we go, oh, I need a motion. I need a motion. It's frustrating and we can't get stuff done.
This
We
is
gotta.
not because I feel sad
No, I
or
think you do.
emotional.
So I think, hold on, I think.
Describe.
I think
asking
you're
for
missing my point.
information.
I'm sorry I offended you. My point is, I think because we're unwilling to just discuss and like have that conversation, we could have this conversation offline and like, hey guys, I think we really need to attempt to do X. And instead, it was brought here and other business as a motion when we already have policy to address this. So if we're spending a lot of time on this, We don't need it. That's
Bernadette-
kind of my point.
I mean, Bernadette, I tried that approach at the very beginning of this meeting. I said, can we agree to not comment on each other's motion? And I got silence. So
When
when
did you
that
talk
happens,
about ahead of time, though? I don't recall.
at the very, when we were talking about, do we accept under discussion for the minutes?
No, no, but before this
So-
meeting. Did
Yeah,
you bring it up?
I sent the motion forward. Oh, no, I didn't. Not the new one that we talked about.
My point.
But this,
Let's try
no,
to
but
be better.
at this
All
very
of us.
meeting, I tried to avoid a motion. I was prepared because I knew I probably would have to go there, but I didn't want to. And my first option was, my first choice, my preference was to say, can we agree just amongst ourselves to not comment on other people's motions, not change other people's motions? I got nothing, no response. So then I'm forced to go to motion to do that. So it is unfortunate. And I tried the other way, it didn't work, maybe next time.
Can we maybe all kind of come to this table right now and just say, let's attempt to do better next time? I just, we're bogging ourselves down, we really are, and it's not just affecting the mayor, it's affecting all of us when we constantly have to have these kind of motions. And I understand then your thoughts on why you brought up that motion, but I think a lot of the times when we change rules and procedures, it's just, it's getting a little, it's a little much. So like, maybe let's put pause, let's all enjoy holiday vacation, and really think about how we want to work together. And I would just like to see that. I think this is just a little much.
And not for nothing, I was the one that chased down the motion about her.
Yeah,
term
and I
on
was about to
Friday.
bring that up.
On Friday, I actually sat down to make sure that we had it.
Well, it just sounds like we already have a rule on the books. Let's follow
Exactly.
it. That's all. And anything that doesn't come in Thursday noon should be the amazing exception and not the rule.
This was the only meeting this month, so to get things done for year end, sometimes we had to get things lobbed on. I'm glad we did, because we got a lot basically accomplished here that we need to get done.
10 o'clock. So the other business is back to the minutes that we tabled it, but I'd like to make a motion, Carl's here, so you can tell us what the procedure is, to change the minutes from the November 28th meeting. This is related to the motion and the mayor's note. The discussion, because it says after discussion, comma, motion by trustee Assembly, the attached roll on the, after discussion, motion made by trustee Van Dent, seconded by mayor to table the motion. There was no comment on the motion, so all that we have is the mayor's note, as if that's the reason and that's what happened. And that is a misrepresentation of what happened. In fact, since we didn't even read the mayor's note, I'd like to make a motion to strike that from the minutes and to add to the minutes that the meeting was, it was decided not to hold the meeting in December out of respect for the staff's wishes, and that traditionally they only have one meeting in December. And therefore, to respect the staff's wishes, it was decided to table the motion, have a meeting in January. That was the conversation. And I think that needs to be reflected in the minutes. And I'd like to make a motion to that effect. Do I have a second?
I mean, is that the proper thing for us to do to change the minutes? We have to make a motion.
Well, when you approve the minutes,
We did.
We did.
I know,
Frank made a motion to table, so.
So is this something we should handle next
Go ahead.
meeting? I'm a little confused.
It's just like you normally do at every meeting. If you read the minutes ahead of time, and you have something you want to change, you bring it up and you say, you'd like to amend the motion, the minutes to reflect X, Y, and Z. And then it's minutes approved as amended.
Do we have to vote on it?
Don't you always vote to approve minutes?
The amendment specifically?
Yes, isn't that what you normally do?
Okay, that, in other words, Ben wants to get this done now by tabling it earlier. We don't have to deal with it next
Yeah, we
meeting.
just approve the minutes without amendment is what I'm proposing.
No, I'm confused.
I'm confused too. You're not moving to provoke to approve minutes without amendment. You're moving to amend the draft minutes to do X, Y, and Z.
Okay,
And then approve as amended.
okay. I move to approve as amended in the description that I just provided. I can send you the written. piece of it. I actually sent you an email earlier before this meeting with at least the part about the discussion of what that should include. So you have that, you have
What time was that?
a couple days ago, probably, or maybe it was. Let me check.
Can we just table the minutes?
And no,
That's kind of where I was going with it earlier, that we're just giving.
I know it's been sent to Terry. The only piece to add to that is to not have the mayor's note on the minutes.
Well, it would be nice to be able to see.
I think
All
Terry's
right.
saying it would be.
That's fine. All right, all right.
You withdraw.
So see it
To make it
and do
clear.
it next
You withdraw
month.
your motion because she's now gone, so you're the one that can control the motion.
All right, so Terry, make those changes.
So you're
and we'll-
withdrawing the motion.
I want to make sure I have a proper understanding of what's going to happen. If I withdraw a motion, Terry will put those changes in, and then at the next meeting, we will look at that.
If you withdraw the motion, you're gonna put in the writing to Terry what you want done, and then she'll send that around to make sure that's what everybody is intending.
And those are the minutes that you would vote on at the next meeting.
Yeah. All right, I agree with that.
But just procedurally, that's why the draft minutes are sent to you folks early.
I don't know why I don't know why we tabled and didn't just deal with it, but we didn't.
Well, the idea, I actually wanted to table it for the day, and see where we're going with it, but you brought it back up, that was the whole thing. Can I get a motion for executive session for personnel matter?
Can I also add, I'm sorry, can we discuss litigation very quickly? I just have an update on the Ballston 2 litigation.
Inside the executive session,
Yes.
okay, there you go.
Who seconded that?
I'll second.
Who made the motion?
I did.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye, opposed. We're going to executive session. There is likely to be action taken afterward. So you're welcome to stick around. If you do, you may find you a hobby later. I heard anything about that one. Recording? Because normally you're recording. So,
I know, she's been quiet lately.
She's tired.
we're back from executive session. Can I get a motion to take motion E off the table back into consideration?
I'll second.
Trustee Baskin, trustee Raymond, further discussion? All in favor? Aye, opposed, motion carries. Can I get a motion to that the vouchers number 23-00221 to 23-01308 be audited and the meeting adjourned at 10:19 p.m.
Make that motion.
Raymond Benzenza on the second.
Jumped on that.
Discussion, all in favor, aye, opposed, motion carries. Happy holidays, happy new year.